I couldn't believe what I was seeing. In just a few seconds, he'd cut down so many nurdles that my heart actually hurt. 3 gold. You just destroyed 3 gold. 3 whole gold coins gone. What do you mean 3 gold? And stop swinging your sword at me. Hey, why are you throwing magic at me now? I was saving you. This idiot really didn't get it. I already told him to stop attacking, but he just kept going. You moron. Who asked you to save me? I was happily luring them over while eating dinner, and you barged in and shredded my precious materials. 20 silver. 20 silver for each one you killed. Pay up. I didn't care if he had to strip down and hand over every piece of armor he had. He was paying my 3 gold. Wait, you were luring them. He stared at me like his brain had just blue-screened. Not the brightest, clearly, but I had to admit he was strong. He'd managed to block my attacks without being pushed back at all. We were evenly matched in strength, which honestly surprised me. Yes, I was. Now you owe me 5 gold. I stomped my foot. My money. My beautiful money. I had the whole plan ready the moment I spotted the nurdles, and this idiot ruined everything. 5 gold. You said 3. That was before you kept killing them. They keep attacking me. Then let them kill you. No. For some reason, the nurdles seemed to have decided I was on their side now. They went all out trying to kill the young man and ignored me completely. And me? I was fighting for my silver. Since we were deadlocked when fighting each other, I changed tactics and started blocking his attempts to attack them. Why are you doing this? He shouted. Because you owe me money. Look how many you killed. Why did you have to play hero exactly when I was trying to eat? Go save someone who actually wants saving. I didn't even know why I was getting this worked up, but the more I talked to him, the angrier I felt. I just wanted him to get the hint and leave. How could I, destined to be the hero of this land, let a young girl face such terrifying beasts alone? He said, full of confidence. What was this, some kind of hero complex? I guess. I'll have to get serious then. Accelerate. What? Bam. I smacked him as hard as I could on the back of the neck. He crumpled instantly. Before he could recover, I grabbed him, spun him around a few times, and flung him toward the road like a sack of trash. Should have done that from the start. I rubbed my forehead and turned back to the nurdles, who were now staring at me like I just rescued them. For a brief second, I actually felt bad for them and didn't feel like killing them. That feeling lasted exactly 1 second. I lunged at the nearest one, pried its jaws open, and shoved a fireball straight down its throat. Brutal, sure, but efficient. That was all it took for them to remember I was still the enemy. They swarmed me from all sides. 15 minutes later, I had 30 nurdle corpses stored away in my inventory. Unfortunately, the ones he'd hacked apart before were useless. So now I was in a foul mood, and it was raining. I was soaked. I still need to sell those stupid bandits, which means I have to feed them, I muttered, too tired and lazy to forage properly. I ripped a branch off a tree with a clump of leaves on it and decided that would have to do. I cast a barrier over my head and used a bit of heat magic to dry myself off. Only once I was completely dry did I head back. And who did I find the moment I returned? Mr. Knight in shining armor. Again, what are you doing? I asked flatly. What does it look like? I'm trying to save these poor souls buried up to their heads by some demon, he said, without even turning around. He was attacking the barrier I'd set up around the bandits. Also, did he just call me a demon? So you're not satisfied with killing my nurdles. You're also trying to steal my bandit bounty? Are you a thief? Fireball. Without thinking, I hurled a fireball at him. I was done with this idiot. Why are you attacking me again? Can't you see these people need help? He leaped back, staring at me like I'd wronged him somehow. He was handsome, sure, with blonde hair and blue eyes, but his brain cells were clearly on strike. Those are bandits I caught, and I'm taking them to the nearest town. And you're trying to set them free? I snapped. I had barely started my journey and already run into a walking headache. Bandits? He lowered his sword, scratching his head. Even if they're bandits, shouldn't you treat them a little better? You really are stupid. Why would anyone be kind to bandits they captured? They murder people, sell them, and rob them for a living. And you want to pamper them? My chest rose and fell as I tried not to explode. This guy existed purely to irritate me. Why do you keep calling me stupid and an idiot? He complained. Because you are a 100% idiot. Try looking at the situation before you jump in. No, actually forget it. Just give me the 7 gold you owe me and get lost. 7? You said 5 before. That's because you owe me 10 gold for all the nerdle materials you destroyed. In reality, he only owed me 5. There hadn't been that many nerdles. But he was an idiot wasting my time, so I figured a little emotional damage fee was fair. Why 10 now? His face was so pitiful, I almost burst out laughing. Ahem. I straightened up and spoke slowly. Because dealing with an idiot has a cost. Now hurry up and pay, oh hero of justice. I don't have it, he said proudly. Of course he didn't. So, but you're not going to pay what you owe? Fine. Take off all your armor and give me your sword. I'll sell them for compensation. Something was better than nothing. Maybe it would teach him not to charge into other people's business. Whether he thought I needed saving or not had nothing to do with me. I only care about the people close to me. Everyone else can keep their distance. Well, if I saw someone truly in danger, I'd probably help. But I'd at least make sure they actually needed it first. No, I need both. And if I give them to you, I'll have nothing to wear, he protested. What you wear has nothing to do with me. Just take it off and hand it over. I reached over, grabbed his sword, and started tugging at his armor. Miss, I swear I'll pay you back. Please let me keep my armor. A hero should always repay their debts, I said. Halfway through trying to strip him, I suddenly realized I was acting exactly like a bandit. Yes, he owed me, but I still felt a little conflicted. One thing stood out, though. Not once had he insulted me for being a demi. I sighed, let go of his armor, and handed his sword back. Fine, keep it. But if you ever go to the capital, look for me at the Magic Academy. My name is Faith Cerelia. From today on, you owe me 20 gold. If you don't pay me back by the time we meet again, I will strip that armor off you. It was the least I could do, considering he wasn't a demi-hating idiot. Just a normal kind of idiot. 20 gold. All right, he straightened up. I, Charles Doley, swear on my path to becoming a hero that I'll repay you one day. Miss Faith. He doesn't even have a heroic-sounding name. Well then, Charles, I'll be waiting. Now, I need to feed my bandits, so I won't keep you. I didn't wait for his reply. I stepped through my barrier and dispelled the mound of dirt around the bandits' heads. Then I tore leaves off the branch and dropped them in front of their faces. I didn't have time to find proper food, so make do with this. I'm not entirely sure if they're poisonous, though. Miss, we can go without the food, the bald bandit said weakly. I slowly turned my head toward him and drew my sword. Wow, he laughed stiffly, grabbing a mouthful of leaves. Look at these delicious leaves. Can't wait to eat them. Watching them all chew those leaves like starving rabbits, I nodded in satisfaction and turned away to pick a spot to set up camp. That was when I noticed him. The idiot was still there, standing in the rain, soaked, staring at me. Why are you still here? I asked. I wanted to know. Charles said suddenly, why are you so strong? To be fair, I've been wondering the same thing about him. My stats were ridiculous, and yet he could still go head-to-head with me. Humanoid form. Name, Faith Cerelia. Age, 12. Level, 42. Race, Dragonic. HP, 20,000/20,000. MP, Infinity. Attack power, 19,600. Magic power, 19,600. Status points, 495. Strength, 1,960. Vitality, 2,000. Intelligence, 1,960. Mind, Infinity. Agility, 1,960. Skill points, 11. Skills, Appraisal, LVL 10 max. Military Command, LVL 10 max. Military Tactics, LVL 10 max. On top of that, I still had a pile of unspent status points. Even so, he'd managed to match me in strength. I was a dragon. As far as I could tell, he was just human. How about you tell me first? I replied, how a human is that strong at your age? Because I'm a hero, Charles answered proudly. I pressed my fingers to my temple. Did he really think just saying, I'm the hero, actually explained anything? No, really. How are you that strong? I'm a demi, so being stronger than humans is normal for me. But I've never met a human my age who could keep up with me. It was true. Most of my family were half demis. My mother was scary with magic, and my father and brother were physically strong thanks to their dragonkin blood. Even then, beside my father whose full strength I didn't actually know, I was stronger than my brother. Yet this boy, who looked around my age, could stand toe-to-toe with me, and I still wasn't sure if he was holding back. Charles folded his arms and fell into thought. I think it started the day I had this strange dream. A beautiful woman in white with a really big, get to the point, ahem. His cheeks turned a little red. She said the world needed a hero, and she was giving me the strength to become one. But I had to go out, help people, and be recognized to grow stronger. Since then, I've always been like this. Actually, I remember when I was about 5, my mother asked me to go pull some radishes, and I came back with a tree. I stared at him. So he'd basically been stupidly strong from birth. And I don't mean stupidly. Who mistakes a whole tree for a radish? They don't even look remotely similar. And if he could yank a tree out of the ground at 5, what was the point of that goddess story? Was that just something he made up because it sounded cool? Why do you look so scary? He asked. Yes, I was glaring. Very openly. I just wanted him gone so I could finally sleep. You got your answer, I said, waving him off. Now leave. I need to rest. The sky was already dark, and I planned to get moving at first light. Then I'll go, he said. If you ever need help, remember this. Charles, hero of Gravos, will come running. Just call my name and shout, "Oh, hero of Gravos, save me," and I will appear. Farewell, fair owl. Don't throw boulders at me. Then shut up and go. All right, I'm going. I watched him shuffle away with slumped shoulders and finally let out a long breath. Peace at last. I walked back over to the bandits, dropped the barrier above us, and formed a small earthen room. It wasn't big, just enough space for me to sit inside and lean against the wall. Before going in, I rebuilt the dirt wall hiding the bandits' heads and strengthened the barrier around them. My spell would keep most people out, but it wasn't perfect, so I also laid a few landmine spells around the area, just in case. Only after I was satisfied did I tell the bandits to get some sleep and retreat into my little dirt hut. I created a small fireball and left it floating in the center as a heater. Once I found a comfortable spot and sat down, the exhaustion of the day caught up with me. My eyelids grew heavy and I slowly drifted off. By the time I woke up, the rain had stopped and the sun was already high. To speed things along, I used Accelerate on myself and the bandits, much to their horror, and reached the next town by noon. Town wasn't really the right word. It felt more like a small city. Tall wooden buildings rose up behind thick stone walls. The only way in was through a massive front gate. If I remember right, "This is Hammer Lynn," I murmured. I walked up to the gate, dragging the rope tied to the weeping bandits. The guards reacted instantly. "State your business," one of them said. He looked to be in his mid-40s. The phrasing was rough, but his tone wasn't hostile. "I'm here to turn in these bandits for their bounties," I replied, giving the rope a tug. To my surprise, the bald bandit immediately dropped to his knees. "Sir Guard, please arrest us," he cried. "We're horrible bandits who rob and kill people. We even sell women and children to slavers. I'm pretty sure I've got at least a 3 silver bounty on my head." "I've got 1 silver. Mine's 2. Was this some kind of competition? Was my hospitality really that bad that they were fighting over who was more wanted just to get away from me faster?" For a split second, I strongly considered dragging them all the way to the capital instead. I'd show them what bad treatment really looked like. Even the guard was giving me a weird look. "Maybe I should just wait till the capital," I muttered. No, miss, you don't need to bother going that far," the bald bandit said quickly. "You can get our bounties right here. Why drag a bunch of dirty men around with you? Men, line up. Give the guard your names. Every one of us has some kind of bounty. Help the miss get paid." He started barking orders like he was my assistant, and the others scrambled to obey. I was honestly speechless. "So," the guard beside me asked quietly, "are you turning them in or not?" I sighed and flicked my hand. "Yeah, take them. Then please follow me to the headquarters." I handed him the rope and nodded. The bandits all cheered and followed after him like they'd just been liberated from a nightmare. I didn't think I was that bad. I kept them safe, fed them, even sheltered them from the rain. And this was the thanks I got. I sighed again and followed them through the gate. Inside, the streets were busy and crowded, exactly what you'd expect from a big town. People moved back and forth, vendors shouted from makeshift stalls, and the air smelled like food, sweat, and money. The buildings towered over the road, their bases made of stone and their upper floors of wood and plaster. Most of them were 6 or 7 stories tall, which was more than I'd expected. I found myself craning my neck just to see the rooftops. Street stalls lined both sides, selling who knows what. I made a mental note to come back later and see if anything interesting was up for sale. I guess, I muttered under my breath, this officially counts as the start of my journey.
Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support, we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
We're sparring in the center. To be honest, I kind of wanted to test them out myself to see how strong they were, but I held back. Not that they would let me anyway, but it was still fun to think about it. By the way, my name is Jack. The guard, who had been quiet this entire time, suddenly spoke up. I forgot to introduce myself, which was rude of me. Nice to meet you, Jack. My name is Faith. I returned his greeting. I was finding it strange that not many people were giving me strange looks, especially now that I was in the guard station. I wonder if this was one of the rules to join any guard or even the knights, that they had to at least be nice to demi-humans. It's nice to meet you as well. I should have introduced myself earlier, but to be honest, I've been trying to wrap my head around the fact that you caught bandits, 10 at that. Not to mention these guys seem quite scared of you, huh? Jack let out a loud laugh. The so-called bandits didn't seem to mind either. They even laughed along with him, dash. Well, they would have been fine if they did not try to stop me. I pursed my lips as I said this. It was because of these bandits that I had to deal with the idiot hero guy. Huh. Well, in a way, I am glad they did stop you. The fewer the bandits on the road, the safer it is for the citizens. You would be surprised at how many reports we get each week. Sadly, once someone is robbed, whether it be their goods or their women and children, trying to get any of it back is a lost cause. Jack shook his head. I could tell he hated this fact. I couldn't just let them go free after they stopped me, even if I did beat them up. I really couldn't tell him the only reason I captured them was because I wanted their treasure. Sometimes it is best to lie. That is true. Haha, I thank you. Now then, if you'll follow me inside. Jack pushed open the door to the guard headquarters and led me down a small hall to a large room. There was a table in the center of the room, with chairs around it and a small windowed counter in the wall on my left, with a man sitting on the other side. On the far wall to my right was a more comfortable seating area, with cushioned chairs lined up against the walls. It reminded me of a doctor's office when you went to visit and had to wait your turn. Besides that, there was a bar door that led to another hallway leading further inside the building next to the window on my left. Faith, I will ask you to wait here while we confirm their bounties and file the proper paperwork. Bringing in bandits also raises your merit with the kingdom, so it is good to make sure everything is on file. Plus, this way, you know you're getting the correct amounts. Okay. I nodded my head and turned to go sit in one of the chairs. Surprisingly enough, the chairs had open spots in the back and were pulled away from the wall to accommodate demi-humans. While I only took into account for tails, I could still easily sit in it with my wings pressed against my back. I looked around the room a bit and pursed my lips with how boring the room was. There was nothing on the white walls, not even pictures. It was a gloomy room that gave nothing for the eye to look at. If there was a picture, I could at least stare at it and nitpick it until Jack returned, but sadly, I could only look at the white ceiling that had a bunch of bumps in it and start counting. Sitting and doing nothing was not something I was able to do unless I was trying to sleep. While I counted the bumps, I began thinking about what I was going to do for the rest of the day. Since the town I was in seemed okay for demi-humans, I figured I would do what I never got a chance to do before, and that was to browse the stalls and try out some of the food the town had to offer. Wandamere used to have the same kind of setup until the lynching and the splitting of the village. While small, it still gave a place for the locals to sell what they had to others. So I was kind of excited to see what the town had to offer. I ended up waiting almost 30 minutes before Jack came back from the back room with a stack of papers in his hands. Sorry for the wait. I never thought that all 10 would really have bounties. I hate to say it, but you'll need to sign quite a few forms. Okay. I got up from my seat and walked over to the table in the middle of the room. Jack began sorting the files out into 10 stacks. The top page is the information on the bounty and how much the bounty is for. The second page is your authorization for us to take them in, and the second to last page is confirming that you receive the bounties in full. And lastly, we need your signature, a drop of blood, and magic injection to make sure that you do not miss out on the merits. When dealing with merits that are not officially going through proper channels from the kingdom, like being a knight under the kingdom or going through the mercenary guild, you'll have to fill out this form each time. You can also gain merits at the Royal Academy as well. But for a normal civilian, we have to have these forms of signatures so they can be filed and sent to the capital. When or if you ever register at any of the places I mentioned, you also have to register your signature, blood, and magic. Jack's explanation confused me a bit because I did not know anything about merit points. Jack, what do these merit points do for you? What use do they have? I asked. I mean, if you do not know, it is best to ask. Merit points are used to allow even a commoner to reach a higher noble rank. Although you would need a lot, you can reach the rank of baron or higher if you gathered enough merit points. So, basically, it was a means to rise through the ranks. It made me wonder just how many nobles this kingdom tracking function was my best guess. To be honest, with how this world was all over the place with technology, I was not surprised. By having everyone carrying a form of identification, if someone committed a crime, it would be easy to find out who it was or if the person was even allowed to be in town. You probably had to get one of these before entering town, so unless you scaled the walls, you were stuck getting one. And if you tossed it afterward, then the guard would easily find it and then begin searching for you. Very intuitive for town protection. Thanks. I once again gave my thanks before exiting the guard headquarters and making my way to the street. Now I could finally check out the stalls. I feel like eating some meat. Sadly, before I could even think about the stalls, I had to find a place to sell my nurdles. I had at least a few golds worth, which would allow me to shop a bit more. Excuse me. I stopped in front of a shop that was run by an older woman. I had spotted her setting things up before going into the guard headquarters. She looked to be in her mid-40s and was on the bigger side, but when she turned and looked at me, she did not show any disgust at all. Hearing me call out to her, the older woman turned and smiled brightly at me before walking over. What can I do for you, young lady? I really was quite surprised at the way people welcomed demi-humans in this town. While I did feel a few malicious gazes, most people didn't even pay attention to me. Those that did look at me would smile before going about their things. Compared to the stares and whispers I got back in Wandamere, this town was like a safe haven for all demi-humans. Of course, this was only speculation. Who knows if they were not all gloating inside, and at some point, I would become part of some game where I am given some food rations and how to run away from all the humans trying to kill me. If I survive for a certain amount of time, I win. At any rate, for the time being, they were all being nice to me. Yes, can you tell me where I can sell materials from nurdles? Is there an armor smith around? I did not know exactly who I was to bring this to, so I figured an armor smith of some kind would be best. And since I did not know what the town had for craftsmen, I figured the term armor smith would work best. Nurdles? You actually have materials from nurdles? If you're going to sell them and want to get the most out of them, you can sell them to the mercenary guild down the street. Just keep going until you see the big sign with the skull and swords. I never understood why they chose such a signboard, but that is the best place to sell materials. As for an armor smith, there is the blacksmith and the leatherworking shop. I have never heard of any armor smith. Thank you. When I sell my materials, I will be sure to stop by and buy a few things as my way of saying thanks. I waved at the older woman and ran off. I could hear her telling me I didn't have to buy anything, but she was selling what looked to be some kind of pastry, and I wanted to try it anyway. The mercenary guild was not hard to find. It was a fairly big building with huge doors at the entrance, and, as the older woman had said, there was a big sign with a skull and sword. The swords were piercing through the skull. Kind of made it seem like a bandit hideout than a mercenary guild. But nonetheless, I was here to sell things, and if I can get more money coming here, then I would do just that. Although, I walked over to the side and sat down and opened my menu. Let's see. Business. Business. Ah, here we go. Business Tycoon. A skill that allows me to be the best of the best when it comes to business. Not only does it allow me to understand how to make a successful business, but it also allows me to know when someone is trying to rip me off. A kind of business sense. And so I took the skill Business Tycoon and maxed it out. This was probably the best all-rounder skill because even if I had to hide in another kingdom someplace, I could always rely on this skill to make me money in the future and forge a new path if need be. Business Tycoon, LVL 10 max. With that said, I walked into the mercenary guild with my head held high. However, as soon as I stepped through the door, a loud voice echoed through the big hall. "What the hell is a demi doing in here?" A young man with spiked hair yelled out. To be honest, I do not even know what made him act so tough. He was just as skinny as I was, and I'm a little girl. He looked like a bad take on an evil villain from some crappy movie made back on Earth. With his sharp, pointy, green, spiky hair and loose, fitting leather armor, I really wondered how he even fought in such a getup. "Bastard, Gerard, apologize this instant." A woman at another table yelled out. "You dare pick on a little girl? Jessel, shut up and mind your own business. You know more than anyone how much I hate demis." Bastard Gerard answered. He really had a unique name. It seemed to fit him well. "You, just because that rabbit told you off in public, you now hate all demi-humans? Are you an idiot? Oh ho, do we have some kind of drama going on in Bastard Gerard's life?" So basically, he was rejected and told off, and now he hates everyone. Damn it. "Jessel, I will kill you." Bastard Gerard seemed to have lost his cool, but I think this young woman named Jessel did it on purpose, because as soon as Bastard Gerard charged at her, she turned to me and winked. For a woman who was full of muscles, she was a very kind person. And by muscles, I mean they were bigger than my father's. Anyway, never judge a book by its cover. Sometimes I got unique names like Bastard Gerard. This is the lesson I will take home from this little incident. As for Bastard Gerard, he was knocked out cold without even being able to put up a fight. As I thought, he was rather weak. I walked up to the counter and rang the small bell to the side that was used to call the person in the back. "Can I help you?" A young man with glasses walked over and sat down behind counter. To be honest, I was just barely tall enough to see over the counter. It made me realize just how short I was. Yes, I need to sell quite a few Nurdle's hides. Well, more like the entire monster. I hoped they would take the entire corpse, or I would need to take up the skill needed to harvest monster skins. And to be honest, I really did not wish to take up such a trade. But now that I am thinking about monsters, for some reason, I did not feel my ancient will at all when I killed the Nurdles. I wonder if it is because of the way I killed them or some other factor that is now restraining it. Well, whatever the reason is, I am grateful for it. "Little miss, I do not see any Nurdles with you." The young man's words brought me back from my thoughts. 1 second. I reached out to my side and grabbed a Nurdle from my inventory. With a loud bang, it fell to the floor. Hot damn spatial magic. I heard a loud, gruff voice yell out behind me. Spatial magic was a thing? I never heard about it, but by the surprised look and the fact that someone knew about it, I guess it was. It was also at this time that I realized that I did forget that people did not have inventories like me, which is a big blunder on my behalf. Little lady, to think you were able to use such a high-ranked spell. How about joining my merc group? The gruff man ran over to me and reached out to take my hands. I instinctively reached for my sword. Fred, Jessel, who had come up behind the gruff man, grabbed it by the collar and pulled him back. You were about to lose that hand. See how the little lady already has her hand on the hilt of her sword. She is no amateur, or else she wouldn't have a fully intact Nurdle with no damage on it. After scolding Fred, Jessel smiled at me and pulled me squatted down. She was like 6'5", so while she was standing, I had to crane my neck to look up at her. So it was nice of her to squat down to my level. Little miss, I suggest never showing that magic to anyone. People might even try to kidnap you. Luckily, the only one here who would do such a thing was just knocked out by me. Ha ha ha. Isn't that right, boys? Right. Jessel knows us best. We could care less about spatial magic, but little lass. There are merchants and a few other not-so-noble individuals who will try to covet your magic, as it is only something top mages can cast. So be careful. I will. Well, since I already showed it to you once, can I take out the rest of the nurdles? I did not want to cause any issues, but it was hard to pull out the nurdles if I couldn't access my inventory. Wait, you have more. I nodded my head and began pulling the nurdles out one by one soon. There was a pile of dead nurdles taking up a large area. The way I killed them made it so no blood got anywhere, so besides the dirt on their bodies, there wouldn't be a huge mess to clean up. This is insane, Jessel yelled out. I could see where she was coming from. After all. To her, I was just a small girl who looked frail. Ahem, Mr. Glasses behind the counter cleared his throat. I turned to look at him with eyes full of expectation. I can see that each one is in very good condition. The standard market price for a nurdle hide in pristine condition is 20 silver. Since we will need to skin them ourselves, I will give you 15 silver each. Oh, not bad. To think even Mr. Stickler over here was willing to give a decent price for once. Jessel commented, I can only guess that Mr. Glasses is someone who always lowers the price of things to save the guild money, which is not a bad practice, but sadly for him, I did not take the skill business tycoon for no reason. Wait! I raised my hand, stopping everyone from continuing. I walked over to the counter and looked Mr. Glasses in the eyes and asked, You said the guild will be skinning them. So does that mean the guild will also create items with the materials? Huh? Yes, we do. We do all the craftsmanship and then sell them to our mercenaries. My lips curled up hearing this. This means they would be making a bigger profit. Why should I get the short end of the stick when they will be making out like bandits? Dash. So, if you will be selling them, which will, in the end, make you a huge profit, why are you not buying them from me at market price? If I am not wrong, even the meat of the nurdle is worth a few silver. Since you will still make out on the deal, should you not at least be offering 22 silver per nurdle? I watched as Mr. Glass's business smile cracked. You are really shrewd for your age. My smile widened as I gave a small bow. Thank you. The highest I can go is 18 silver each. I shook my head and waved my hand, putting all the nurdles back into my inventory. I'm not so hard up for money that I would sell my things for lower than market value. Sorry for disturbing you. With that, I gave my thanks to Jessel and the other man before walking towards the exit of the guild. Wait, fine 22 silver. Geez. I smiled and turned around. The items from a single nurdle will go for triple the amount the hide is worth once the items are created. Not only that, but they can also use the claws and even the teeth of the nurdle to make tools and weapons. So it would have been a bigger loss for me to sell for anything cheaper. Very soon, a bunch of workers from the guild came out from the back room and began hauling the nurdles away. And while they were doing that, I was happily receiving my gold. 7 in total. Hee money. To be honest, this was the first time in both my lives making so much money. A single gold could be considered like $1,000 back on Earth. So for me, someone who never had an actual job, making 7 gold in a single day was a happy event. Now I could go out and try those pastries. Ha ha! I have never seen Mr. Stickler so angry before. His lips and eyes were twitching like mad. You have no idea how many have tried to get him to pay a higher price, but always failed. And today he really had no choice since you brought so many nurdles. The armor made with a nurdle hide, if it is a full set, could easily sell for 1 gold coin. So he is not taking much of a loss, but he will always try to lower the price. Jessel came over and patted my head. So now that you are rich, what do you plan to do? There was a pastry stall down the street that I wanted to try out. The older lady that ran it was nice enough to send me here, so I could sell my things. I promised I would come back, and I would. I would be sure to buy all her pastries if they were really good. I can stick them into my inventory to save for later. All these years, I've only had Ani Finnis cookies and some snacks my mother would make, so trying out something new was always fun. Oh, Greta's place. Mind if I tag along? I have been itching to try her new goods. Jessel's eyes lit up as she spoke about the pastries, but I have a feeling that while she was going for the pastries, she was also doing this to give me some protection. Sure, let's go. My treat, I said with a smile. Those who are kind to me, I will be kind to in return. Since Jessel was willing to help me even before I had shown my skills, I would return that kindness in kind, even if we may only be passing acquaintances. Oh, looks like I'll be hugging your thigh for this pastry run then. Ha ha ha. As Jessel laughed, and so did I. Jessel's smile seemed to brighten the mood of the room, even if she did look like the Hulk. Hey, what about me? Fred cried out, chasing after us. I smiled and waved him over, which he quickly smiled back and followed along. The three of us left the guild and made our way down the street towards Greta's place. This time as I walked down the road, I really took a good look around at the people on the streets, and I noticed that mixed with the groups of humans were also demi-humans. Seeing this, I couldn't help but be happy, but also purse my lips at the same time. I wonder why this town was so demi-human friendly. Wondering why there are so many demis are walking around. I guess Jessel saw through my thoughts as I heard her question. I nodded my head as I turned to look at her. It is because the town lord is a demi himself. He is nothing more than a small baron, but he has built this town into what it is today. A place where demi-humans and humans can walk around freely. No one is treated differently here. Sadly, places like this are far and in between. Even in the capital, while the law says anyone caught discriminating against demi-humans will be fined or arrested, there is no way to truly control it. Jessel, you go to the capital a lot. This interested me. I knew next to nothing about the capital, so hearing that Jessel has been there, I couldn't pass up this chance to ask her. That I have. As a mercenary, going to the capital is something I will do on a regular basis. Although I do happen to like Hammerlin the most. It is a peaceful place with good people. While it still has some bad apples, at least while walking down the street, you will never have to worry about being discriminated against. I do not know what your plans are, but if you're ever looking for a place to settle down in the future, you can always come here. I will help you find a good place to stay. Why do you ask? Are you planning to go to the capital? Yes, I need to reach there in the next few months. I am joining the Royal Magic Academy. I found Jessel very easygoing and easy to talk to, kind of like an older sister. The Royal Magic Academy. Huh? I also went there. Jessel's eyes narrowed, making me curious as to what she was about to say. Be careful. That place is a closed box. There are many factions in the school. Some pro-demi-humans, and some who see them as nothing but inferior beings. I, for one, have always been pro-demi-humans. After all, when I was young, a tiger beastskin gave his life to save me. But that is just me, and the main reason why I fell in love with this town. So always be careful who you befriend in the academy. I couldn't help but sigh. I kind of figured the capital, the Royal Magic Academy, in particular, was not going to be an easy place to stay at, but I guess strength will silence all. I do not wish to resort to violence, but if I have people harassing me left and right while I am trying to learn, then I will put them in their place, even if they are a prince or even princess. Don't worry. I will be sure to take care while I am at the academy. Good. Jessel patted my head before walking forward and waving her hand. Greta! Oh, Jessel, are you here for the new creations? I heard Greta's voice ring out happily. It seems Jessel was a regular here. Haha, the little lady over there is treating me. Now that I think about it, I never caught your name. Huh, I couldn't help but laugh as well. I also just realized I never gave my name. To be able to get along with someone so well without even knowing the person's name or any formal introduction shows just how well the two of us clicked. Then let me formally introduce myself. My name is Faith Cerelia. Wait, did you just say Cerelia? You're that Faith Cerelia? The one who helped fend off the Norian armies. Jessel's eyes were wide open as she stared at me. I, for one, would have never thought my name would be so well known. I could feel my cheeks burning up as I scratched my head and nodded. It was kind of embarrassing. It was like being a celebrity in a way. Although for me, it was due to killing thousands of men. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure if I should be happy about being well known for killing so many people. To think I would get to meet the little genius that every noble is talking about. Not to mention I get a hug her golden thigh while I mooch snacks. Huh. Hearing Jessel joke around and laugh made me laugh as well. She had this kind of charm about her that made it so you could not be in a good mood around her. All right, let's get down to the reason we came here. I could smell the yummy pastries and really wanted to try them out. You're right. Greta, give us the works. Jessel ordered while pulling me to a small table that was off to the side. She sat me down before sitting across from me. Now, Miss Genius, how does it feel to know that you are like the #1 star of the capital now? I did not know about being a genius, but I just did what I needed to do. If it was not for the fact that our kingdom banned slavery, I would have not rushed into harm's way. I would have taken my family and hid someplace in the mountains. Believe it or not, my Cerelia family are all strong. I flexed my muscles as I said this, causing Jessel to let out another laugh. She then slammed her arm down on the table and grinned at me. Let's see how strong you are. Come on, arm wrestle me. Jessel opened and closed the palm of her hand. Her huge muscles bulged. At this point, I was not sure if I should or not. I mean, if I did win, I would feel bad. But if I didn't win and come to find out that I was actually rather weak after everything I'd been through, then I would prefer to go out and level up some more. But seeing the fighting spirit in Jessel's eyes, I sighed and gave in and placed my skinny arm up on the table. Fred, you be the judge. The middle-aged man that came with us, who was as quiet as can be. The one person who had I forgotten was even here. Walked over from the nearby stall that was selling meat skewers and frowned upon seeing the situation. Jessel, are you really arm wrestling a kid? I mean, isn't that a little unfair? Fred asked as he sat down and bit into his skewer. What do you mean, unfair? Did you not hear what I said earlier? No, Jessel. He did not since he was not with us, is what I wanted to say, but I stayed out of it. I think there was a thing going on between the two. You could say my horns were tingling when I looked at them bickering. You said something? Fred asked, causing Jessel to stare at him as if he was crazy. You didn't listen at all. Look here. You know the name Cerelia, right? Yeah. Back at the capital, the genius girl. Wait, Fred looked my way. I gave him a smile and a wave. I would ask if he wanted an autograph, but I am sure he wouldn't understand what I mean. You are Faith Cerelia? Hot damn. No wonder you can kill all those nurdles. That explains it. Okay, then never mind. I want to see who is stronger now. The genius of her time, Jessel, or the newcomer, Faith. Now Fred was all fired up. I helplessly shook my head and grabbed Jessel's big hand. In a way, this looked quite funny because her hand engulfed mine, which kind of gave her the advantage. So I guess I would need to really work hard at this. With our hands gripped together, Fred placed his hand on top of ours. After finishing the meat in his mouth, he looked at both of us to see if we were ready. And go. I felt an overwhelming force pushing against my hand, causing me to firmly push back against it. Jessel was strong, and I mean strong. She had a lot of power, and I was struggling quite badly. This was the second person I have met since coming out into the real world whose strength was on par with my own. First, it was an idiot fake hero, and now Jessel. The world was much bigger than I could ever imagine. Because of the size difference, I knew I wasn't going to win. Jessel had more leverage than me, so my little arm was bending in a funny way. Faith, you are really strong. Yes, so are you. I really wanted to cry. My lovely stats were nothing. Sigh. O system that has granted me such great power, why have you forsaken me? I sighed as I relented and allowed my hand to flop over. See, I told you it was unfair. Look at the size difference. Fred yelled. He then looked at me and shook his head. If you were not so tiny, I am sure you would have one. Plus, she cheated. She held onto the table. No, I did not. Jessel's cheeks turned red. I looked at the edge of the table, and sure enough, finger marks were embedded into it. I looked up at Jessel, who turned her head to the side, whistling away. After a few moments, she finally threw her hands up into the air and yelled out, Fine. I cheated a little. But who told Faith to have such monstrous strength in such a skinny body? I have a reputation to uphold, you know. I let out a laugh and shifted my thigh to the right, covering up the marks on my chair. Yeah, I was cheating too. I heard a chuckle to my side, and Fred gave me a knowing look. I can only lower my head in shame. Here you go. one of my newest creations. Mapalia-filled sweetbread. The Mapalia has a kind of tart taste that will make your taste buds scream, Greta announced while placing a few plates in front of us. The smell coming from the pastry was unlike anything I smelled before. I had no idea what Mapalia was, but whatever it was, it smelled amazing. It had a fruity smell to it, but nothing I had ever smelled before. I picked up the pastry with my hands and bit into the soft, doughy sweetbread. A burst of tart yet sweet flavor filled my mouth, causing my lips to pucker slightly. But after the tartness, my lips couldn't help but curl up into a smile. I even let out a squeal as my body shook. Greta, this is amazing. I had to praise her. It was truly delicious. I'm glad you like it. I had a hard time preparing the Mapalia. It was a tough ingredient as the fruit shell is so hard that it took my husband an entire day to break open a single one with a hammer and chisel. But once he got the hang of it, we got quite a few opened. Only then could I start preparing it. Sadly, these are only limited editions, as they come from the kingdom of Lodinia. Greta let out a long sigh. It was hard to get the ingredients you wanted from other kingdoms unless you went to that kingdom and found a supplier willing to deliver. And Lodinia, of all places, was basically asking for trouble as it was a kingdom ruled by beastkin. They did not really like humans very much, and traders seldom went between the two kingdoms. The worst part about the kingdom was it was a desert wasteland. This was why none of the kingdoms cared too much for Lodinia at first. But before they realized it, the Beastkin's kingdom grew at a rapid rate, and now they were a strong power on par with Gravos or the even Norine kingdom. Anyway, I'm glad you all like them. I got one more. I would like you to try it as well, and let me know if it is worth selling. I have an actual supply line for this one. Greta ran off to prepare more pastries while I finished up the one in my hand. Mesta, a world that could only be dreamed about in stories and people's dreams back on Earth, was alive and thriving, and here I was experiencing it all for myself. I was really starting to get excited about the future. I spent a few hours chatting with Jessel and Fred before saying goodbye, as they had things they had to do. She told me to look for her if I ever passed by the capital's Mercenary Guild Hall. I hope we do meet again. I found Jessel to be a really fun person. After they left, I bought a lot of pastries from Greta, who was shocked when I kept pointing to each pastry one after the other. The other pastry she had us try tasted like a chocolate truffle. It tasted very good. With my hands full of pastries, I walked towards an inn that Greta recommended and booked a room. Only when I was behind closed doors did I store all my pastries away. I will say that I did get strange looks from the innkeeper when she saw me carrying so many pastries. All in all, I can say today was a very good day. Currently, I was soaking my body in a nice hot bath. Unlike how most fantasy novels portrayed the worlds in an ancient times setting where you either used a pot to do your business or ran to an outhouse out back. And if you wanted to bathe, you needed to get some water from the well and dump it on your body one bucket at a time. Nope, nothing like that. Hot baths and proper toilets can be found in the rooms. While it wasn't really separated except for the toilet, I did not care. To be honest, I do not know how those girls during those times could deal with it. I wouldn't want to expose my body for everyone to see. After a nice hot bath, I got out a new set of clothes and decided to head out to get some of those meat skewers that Fred was munching on. They smelled very good. Sadly, I never did get a chance to ask Jessel if she and Fred were a thing. He seemed to stick to her like glue. Maybe it is one of those unrequited loves. As I made my way downstairs, the innmarm stopped me and called me over. I was so busy earlier, I never introduced myself. My name is Lisa. If you need anything, just call me or my daughter Becky. Speaking of that girl, where did she even go? Lisa looked around and let out a long, drawn-out sigh. I guess her daughter is always skipping out on work. Okay, I will. Thank you, I said with a smile before heading out of the inn. I only plan to stay the night and begin my trip once more tomorrow. While I really like this town and how nice everyone is, I still needed to move on. Just knowing there is more than one place in this world. So accepting of demi-humans is enough to let me know that I will always have a place to go. Now, then, time for some of those tasty meat skewers. I licked my lips and walked over to the stall from earlier. There was a young man behind the counter working away over a blazing fire. Hi-yo, what can I get you? The young man asked. He was about 16, 17, with a white bandana wrapped around his head to catch the sweat that was dripping down. His short, spiky black hair poked up out the top of the bandana. "Can I get 4 skewers, please?" I asked. The smell was making my mouth water. I did not know what seasoning they were using, but it smelt oh so good. "Hi-yo, we'll be right up, 5 minutes." The young man yelled back. I watched as he handed over the skewers he just cooked to the man next to me before taking out 4 long wooden sticks with points at the end of time and stabbing them into some marinated meat. Chunk after chunk of meat was added to each skewer, with a few vegetables in between. He then began holding them over the fire with one hand, and with the other hand, he began adding the spices. The grease dripped down from the meat into the open flame, making it flare up. I stood there with shining eyes as I waited to sink my teeth into the tasty meat. My current state made me chuckle because I remembered a meat-loving dragon in a novel I used to read back on Earth. Sadly, I never got to finish reading it. "Order up," the young man yelled as he handed me the skewers. I took them and quickly paid. After giving my thanks, I hurriedly went to find a place to sit and eat. I will say this: if it smells good, it will taste good, and the taste was absolutely amazing. It was out of this world, and the meat was so thick and juicy. While Mother's cooking was also very good, this was just on a whole new level. This could easily be sold in a high-class restaurant back on Earth. I didn't eat all 4, only 2. I stashed the other 2 away in my inventory. This way, they will still be piping hot later on when I go to snack on them. With a full belly, I began looking around at the shops. There were quite a few interesting things. And quite a few things, I had no idea what they were or what they were used for. But sadly, all my attention was taken when I reached this shop with a lot of shiny things. 1 gold coin. 1 entire gold coin, and I bought the entire shop out. The old man who ran the shop stared at me as I fervently bought all his merchandise with shining eyes. I just couldn't hold back. It was not until I returned to the inn with multiple bags full of shiny things that I realized I might have a major issue. My mother told me not to follow anyone with candy. This was easy to do, but what if they have a shiny rock? This thought scared me. I need to be careful from now on, I muttered as I put my loot into my inventory. None of the items I bought had any real use except looking pretty and shiny. I sighed and decided to just stay inside the inn for the rest of the day. It was already getting close to evening time, so I decided to call it a day. The next morning, I said my goodbyes to Lisa and finally met her daughter, who had a big lump on the top of her head. It seems she got punished for running off. She was busy wiping tables with a sour face, so I didn't say anything to her. As I got to the front gate, I ran into the nice guard that I met when I first came here. I gave him my thanks and hit the open road once more. This time I hoped I wouldn't run into any more bandits. As I walked down the road humming a song I made up on my own, I walked with my hand behind my back and a skip in my step. I am currently enjoying my solo travel. The warm, gentle breeze that swept past my face felt really good. But I found it funny that no matter how long I stay out in the sun, my skin is always white. I never get any sunburns or anything. Even as I grew up and was outside all day under the hot sun, I still never got a single sunburn. My brother, on the other hand, would turn as red as a tomato. It was kind of funny, actually, because I would sneak up behind him and poke him on the reddest spots, making him yell at me and chase me around the house. I guess I was that annoying little sister, but even so, he would always run to my aid when I needed him. He was truly a good big brother. I paused my steps and looked up at the sky. Hasn't even been that long, and I'm already feeling slightly homesick. I sighed and continued forward. While I will always remember the fun I had while growing up with my family, I still needed to venture out into the real world. I just hope the rest of my journey to the capital will not have any more idiots in it. However, I did plan to do a bit of testing while out on this journey. First and foremost, I needed to find a place that had tall enough trees to block my dragon body and test out whether or not I could transform with my clothes on. Now that I had plenty of clothes to spare, I wanted to be sure I wouldn't end up naked one day if I ever needed to transform into a dragon. I also need to search for more level up spots. To be honest, when I checked my stats before, I didn't even realize that I had gained 10 levels from the Nurdles. I've been so busy dealing with other things that it all slipped my mind. I had wondered where I got the skill points to even get Business Tycoon after the fact, but didn't dwell on it too much. At any rate, I still need to level up. After my run-in with so many strong people in a short period of time, I really needed to prepare for the day I run into some so powerful that I will get my little butt whipped. I can only hope at that time that my abilities will allow me to escape with my life. This world was big, very big, and if there are dragons still in this world, as my father told me, then the chances of running into one that was not friendly is not 0%. They're known to be very powerful, so I was a bit worried. Of course, I have no plans to try to fight such creators or make enemies with them. I want to go to the Magic Academy, graduate at the top of my class, and get myself a proper noble rank. Then I will work my way through the ranks of the military and hopefully eventually become a commander. Just remembering the battlefield, making strategies, and then watching them play out felt right to me. One of those moments that said, this is where you belong. It was also the best way to ensure my place in this world and not end up standing on a stage with a collar on my neck being auctioned off to the highest bidder. That was the last thing I wanted. If one day comes and I have the chance to abolish such a tradition, I will do it. But only if that day truly comes. Until then, I will work on becoming stronger and stronger. And see what this world will be like 100 years from now, or even a few thousand years from now, if it is true that my infinite mana will allow me to live forever. As I was lost in my thoughts, my nose twitched. I smelled blood. Yes, the scent of iron filled my nose, and it was coming from not too far off. I sighed and rushed forward. If it was happening on the road, that meant that someone was in trouble. While I could ignore it, what kind of person would that make me? I know I speak about not caring about others, but at the same time, I cannot ignore what I already see. Well, in this case, smelled. As I rounded the bend down over a hill, I saw a carriage tipped over on the side of the road, and the scale horses that were pulling it, all dead. A group of people were huddled together off to the side. It looked like a family of some upper-class nobles. Their guards surrounded them and were fighting off what looked to be bandits. But when I saw how they were fighting, I knew they were more than just bandits. Norian army deserters? This was just a guess because their combat and style and how they used magic while wielding a sword resemble that of the Norian army frontlinesmen. Knowing this, I couldn't just sit around. I drew my sword and entered the fray. I first targeted the so-called bandits that were overwhelming some of the guards with numbers, easily cutting through them with my sword. Wah, a demi? What the hell is a demi doing here? Hearing this, I frowned and turned toward the guard I just saved and stuck my sword in his face so that the tip of my blade was just barely touching his nose, causing a trickle of blood to run down his face. Is this the time to be asking stupid questions? Are you not supposed to be protecting your master? You should feel lucky that I did not just take your head just now. Dash. I guess my threat scared him because his face turned pale and ran away to fight the so-called bandits after I withdrew my sword. I was not looking for any kind of praise or reward. I was only doing what I think is right. Maybe Hammerlin affected me slightly and made me forget that people really did not like demi-humans all that much. I sighed as I continued my killing spree. Within a matter of minutes, all the so-called bandits were dead. Sadly, blood splattered on my clothes and face. I really did try not to get any on me. To be sure everything was all set, I turned and looked at the family who I had helped save and began walking over to make sure they were all okay. They did have kids with them, after all, but I only got 2 steps when a few guards rushed forward to surround me. What are you doing? Drop your weapon. One of the guards yelled. I couldn't believe it. They wanted to arrest me after I saved their stupid butts. Why would I drop my weapon? Wasn't it me who just came to your help when you were being overwhelmed? Now you treat me as if I am your enemy. I just want to make sure the people I saved did not need any healing. Forget it. If they are injured, then let them die. I snorted and turned around. I want to take a step and push past the guards, but they formed a tighter circle around me. Where do you think you're going? Drop your weapon. You will need to come with us. The guard, who seemed to be the leader, yelled out while pointing his sword at me. I turned and looked at the family who was just standing there, not saying anything, and frowned. Mana shield. My eyes lit up with magic circles. A barrier made of mana surrounded me as I walked forward towards the family. I was mad, really mad. I can take discrimination if it is directed towards me. But when I go out of my way to help someone and they still treat me as if I am the enemy, then screw it. Before leaving, I will be sure to give them a piece of my mind. I stared at the middle-aged man and woman with cold eyes as I began to speak to them. Sir, madam, I do not know what kind of hearts you have, but from the looks of it, they are black. Not only do you not say a word of thanks like normal people when receiving help, but you allow your guards to turn their weapons on someone who is only here to help. And then you want to forcefully take me away? How sick in the head do you have to be? How about I make sure each one of you loses a leg, so you can remember the next time you get into trouble that if someone helps you, you should at least show them a tiny bit of decency and respect. Humph! You dare speak in such a way to my father and mother. You're nothing but a dirty demi-human. You should feel glad we even took an interest in you. By coming with us, you can at least work with your head held high, knowing you are employed by Viscount Sullivan. These words spilled out of the mouth of a young man who was just crying not too long ago. He even still had tear stains on his cheeks. But now, here he was acting all high and mighty as if nothing had just happened. Even his parents were smiling at him, as if he was saying something good. What the hell is a Viscount Sullivan? Can you eat it? If I did not show up, your guards would have been wiped out, and you little boy would have died a horrible death. Why are you acting so haughty when you look like you have been crying for hours? Forget it. A family full of fools will always be a family full of fools. But I must say good luck walking back. With how pampered you people are, I'm sure you won't get far before falling to the ground and throwing a tantrum. I let out a long snort before turning around, ignoring the swords pointed at me, and speaking softly. Accelerate. With a small flicker, my body disappeared from where I stood. I will have to make sure to remember that snot-nosed brat who seemed to be around my age. I wonder if he will end up in the Royal Magic Academy at the same time as me. If he does, I am someone who holds grudges. The son of Viscount Sullivan. Huh? He had blue hair and ice-blue eyes. I wonder if that is some kind of bloodline trait. I wonder how I should bully him. Maybe Adele is of higher rank. If I do not see him before I meet up with Adele, I will make sure to ask her for some info on this Viscount Sullivan. I kept accelerate on for a while before canceling the spell. I'm sure those nobles are probably peeing themselves now that they see how great I truly am. Mwahaha. I am pretty sure if someone saw me right now, with how I was laughing evilly with my hands on my hips and my head tossed back, they would think I am some kind of demon lord. I mean, I have the right look if you look past my youthful cuteness. I got horns, a tail, and wings. I could easily pass the demon lord tryouts in any movie back on Earth. After laughing out loud like a crazy person, I felt much better and went back to my travels. After all the excitement, the first few days, the next 2 weeks were very slow going and peaceful. Although today, I did find a good place to check a few things out. The main thing I wanted to check out was my clothes and transformation. The forest I was currently in had what looked to be very ancient trees that went high into the sky, much taller than the trees near my home. So it was a good place to do a little testing. I could even cast a little magic to really block things off, although I didn't intend to do that anyway. After making sure I was quite a few miles out, I looked around before casting earth wall and creating a tall dirt barrier around me in a half-mile radius. I then took out some clothes that I had prepared for this testing since I did not wish to destroy my wonderful armor. After getting changed, I took a deep breath and transformed. I will say one thing about transforming. It is still something I really needed to get used to because it was so very cool every time I did it. Because I had some playroom, I walked around a bit to get used to the new form and surprisingly found it very easy to move in. Not bad. Not bad at all. But now here is the real test. With another deep breath, I let it out slowly and looked around. I did not see any signs of clothes anywhere, so I could only hope that all was well. I closed my eyes and felt my body getting smaller and smaller. When I opened them again, I looked down at myself and smiled brightly. It worked. I did not lose my clothes. Knowing this made me feel much better about things. Now, if I ever needed to do a quick escape, I could. Now then, let's go find some monsters for experience. I need to replenish my skill points as soon as possible. EXP, EXP, EXP. Oh, EXP, how good are thee? As I sing a strange song, I'm currently racking up experience points. I need to at least get 10 more levels, just in case I need a new skill later on. You never know how handy these skills can come in. While military command, military tactics, and Business Tycoon were amazing, there's always a chance that something else will come in handy in the future. Besides leveling, I discovered something very important about my ancient will. While searching for some decent monsters to farm, I found a bandit hideout and ran into some very bad scenes. This group of bandits didn't even deserve to live, and I kind of lost my head. Luckily, I did not sink too far. I think my ancient will only show itself if I become too emotional. I noticed a stark difference between killing the bandits on the road and killing the bandits at the hideout. My ancient will began to show itself as I started to kill the bandits in the hideout while the ones on the road did not. It scared me a little, but I was already too deep into the bandits' cave to back out. And the girls, let's just say they are in a better place now. Human beings are cruel, no different from any monster. As a former human being, I understand that we stereotype different races based on intelligence factors, which is kind of unfair in a sense. But this is just how it is. But just because humans are smarter does not mean that humans are no less monstrous than a monster who attacks a village. At least the monster had a reason to attack the village. They do things based on instinct alone, while humans, who are supposed to be the more evolved species, will do cruel acts just for the sheer pleasure of it. This does not go for all humans, but the bandits I met today were such cruel humans. And witnessing their cruelty and having to grant the wishes of the girls who were suffering due to said cruelty, I do not think I will ever forget this day. Now I know that this is not Earth, and I know that there are many races in this world. And I know for a fact that the same cruelty that I witnessed today could be said to happen with other races as well. At any rate, this incident allowed me to understand my ancient will a tiny bit more. So I will need to try to keep better control over my emotions when I engage in battle, or I might end up losing my mind and turning to the dark side. The current spot that I am in can be said to be a farmer's paradise. Well, an experienced farmer, not a normal one. That was because at this place, I found a rare replicator slime. It could be said to be one of the more dangerous slimes due to their ability to replicate if not dealt with properly. If someone were to slash them in half or explode them in the wrong fashion, 2 to hundreds of new slimes would instantly form. But this was also what made them good for farming. Since slimes were strange creatures made of magic, they were very unpredictable and had many strange attributes as they could be made up of different kinds of elements and non-elements. Hence the replicator slime. The replicator slime was a strange slime and the only one that could be diced into many pieces with a sword. Normal slimes will just rebound any weapon, no matter how hard they are hit. So they will need to be killed with their opposing element. While not able to be killed by physical attacks, as said before, these slimes could be cut. And if you diced one up, so many more slimes would appear that you would be in quite a bit of trouble unless you are me and were trying to create thousands of them at a time. These slimes happen to be level 30 slimes and still give me experience. While not much, when you add up thousands of them that I accidentally blow up and disintegrate, they will give me quite a bit of experience. And because replicator slimes are kind of rare, it would be a shame not to keep one. I read about a spell in one of the books that allows people to contract with monsters and allows you to be able to strengthen them and make them grow stronger. But those who can make such contracts are far and in between. This was because a lot of mana was needed to even sustain such a contract. And so I forced a contract on a replicator slime and named it Mr. Blobs. And because of this, I can make it split apart anytime I wish, well, kinda. And it also opened up a new option in my system. Companion menu. Yes, I have a full-blown companion menu. It shows all of Mr. Blob's stats. And the best thing is that Mr. Blobs can also level up as well. Name, Mr. Blobs. Level 30. Race, Replicator Slime. Evolution, 4578/10,000. HP, 3000 of 3000. MP, 12230/12230. Attack power, 300. Magic power, 500. Skills, Replicate, LVL 10 max. Pounce, LVL 7 max. Dissolve, LVL 10 max. Fireball, LVL 1 max. Earth Spike, LVL 1 max. And according to the statistics, it can also evolve. But the main thing that is amazing is that all its replications can be under my command as well, or I can choose to remove my authority over them. making him a normal slime. This meant I can make Mr. Blobs replicate and then release it from my control. The only problem is that he can only replicate 10 at a time before I have to wait for an hour to make more. I'm not sure why this is. Maybe because of the contract or the system itself. I will have to look into it and see if there is a way around it. Also, the slimes created by Mr. Blobs with his replication cannot replicate under my control. I can't even hurt them myself. It is as if the system blocks it. So in order to make thousands of more slimes, I have Mr. Blobs create a bunch of slimes and then release one of them. I then dice that one up and allow it to replicate over and over, and bam, I got myself the ability to farm as much as I want. With an area of effect a minute later, I have thousands of free experience points flying towards me. I wonder, though, does this make me some kind of homicidal maniac? If I was on Earth, would I be taken to jail for animal abuse? I'm really not sure. I will say this, though. Currently, I have a stockpile of mini Mr. Blobs inside my companion menu. So I basically have an army of slimes to level up. And Mr. Blobs himself is even capable of shrinking down on command so I can rest him on my shoulder. Quite the cute little guy if you ask me. In his full form, he is up to my knee in height. As for the experience farming, I have actually gained 4 levels already. But the experience was slowly fading, which means I need to level up Mr. Blobs before I can farm like this again. But 4 levels does mean 4 more skill points, which was good. So after clearing out the rest of the replicator slimes, I placed Mr. Blobs on my shoulder and walked back towards the road. I still had a little while before dark. I can only keep Mr. Blobs out while I am moving at normal speeds. Otherwise, he just falls off and tries to make his way back to me. I felt bad the first time I used Accelerate, and he went flying away and crashed into the ground. One thing that did surprise me about Mr. Blobs was that he could use magic. He had 2 spells, Fireball and Earth Spike. Both were level 1, and I have no idea how to make them level up. I can only hope it is like one of those use-type systems where if he uses the spell enough, he will become more proficient in it and will eventually learn more spells as he grows. This is my own wishful thinking and will not know until the time actually comes. The only other thing is that I can only feed Mr. Blob once a day to make his experience go up. Afterward, he will get a full status, and the feed button gets disabled. He also does not need to sit there and slowly dissolve the food I give him, as it will be auto-consumed through the system. Quite convenient when it comes to a slime that slowly dissolves its prey. And even though I can only feed him once a day, based on the level of the monster, the amount of experience that Mr. Blob gains can go up and down. If lower level, then it will be less experience. But if it is a higher level, he will get a huge chunk of his experience bar in one go. If you put everything together like this, it makes Mr. Blobs very amazing and versatile. There are a lot of things I would expect out of life, many that I am working towards now. But never in my life would I ever think that while walking down the road, a random stranger would walk up to me and get down on one knee and propose to me. Yes, a complete stranger. I have no idea who this young man is, but if anything, he has special tastes. He looks to be around 15, while I look way too young. Why won't you marry me? Yep, this is the same question I have been asked over 100 times now, and my answer has been still the same. I do not need a man nor any kind of love. I just want to continue my travels in peace and quiet. How many times do I need to repeat myself? In this past week, this is the over 100 times you have proposed to me. Do I need to start getting violent? I yelled while kicking him to the side, sending him flying off into the field next to us as I stomped forward. I just wanted to get rid of this idiot. I mean, everywhere I go, there are nice people and idiots. But the number of idiots is starting to outnumber the number of nice people. I just want to walk in peace and chat with my Mr. Blobs. Even if Mr. Blobs can't speak, he still understands what I'm saying. And due to our contract, I can kind of feel what he is trying to relate to me. Like right now, he is bobbing up and down and jiggling. He is telling me that he wants to punch that idiot too. See, only Mr. Blobs understands me. You're right. Hitting him a few times would make me feel better for all the aggravation. What? Hee. Should I stick a few hundred on him? No. I mean, he hasn't really been all that bad, just annoying. Since he really hasn't caused me any harm, I can't just go hitting him or anything. What? I kicked him for the 100th time? Mr. Blobs, can't you just ignore the small details? Yes, Only Mr. Blobs understands me. He also makes for an excellent travel companion. Over the past week, I have gathered quite a few replications of Mr. Blob. And one thing I learned about when Mr. Blobs levels up. So, do his replications as long as the replications are in the menu system. A kind of passive gain. I figure I can use my slime army as a trump card later on. If anything happens and I am outnumbered, then bam! Millions of replicator slimes casting fireballs everywhere. Dash. Actually, the reason I am even replicating them is because I felt like it would be cool to stand on a battlefield, point out in front of me and go, Mr. Blobs, I choose you. Unleash the slime apocalypse. While my naming sense may be way off, at least it is better than some names. But I figure a huge amount of replicator slimes would be a huge help at some point, especially if they were all evolved forms. I kind of can't wait to see what Mr. Blobs will evolve into. Only time will tell. But none of this will help my current situation. I know I just knocked the young man away from me, but the problem is that he keeps coming back. I have no idea why he is so stuck on me. Before this, I have never met him, nor have I ever spoken to him. It was very creepy. Maybe I should just run away again for a little while. I let out a long sigh and activated Accelerate after taking Mr. Blobs into my arms. To be honest, I have done this before. And somehow, that same young man had caught up to me in no time at all. So I figure I would add somebody strengthening magic to the mix this time and really run as fast as I can. If he still catches up to me after this, then I do not know what I will do. All I know is that he is annoying. But who would have thought that just walking down a single road, I would run into such weird occurrences? I'm starting to wonder if I have some kind of curse placed on me, and I just don't know it, or if the real reason my family originally moved so close to a border was to escape all the weirdos in this world. If this was really the case, then I do not blame them. I mean, who would want to live with a bunch of weirdos? There is another possibility that I kind of do not want to accept, and that is that I am the weird one. And the reason this is all happening is because it is perfectly natural to propose to people you have never met in the middle of a road that has nothing around it. No, absolutely not. This is crazy. Why would anyone do that? And so I ran and ran. I had no choice. Escape the weirdos of the world. It is best to run by them all. Or so I thought. How are you ever here? Why do you keep running? What is so bad about me that you will not marry me? The annoying young man asked. Why would I marry a stranger? And do not give me that we can start to get to know each other starting now. Routine, because it will not fly. Let me add that if you say anything like destiny this or destiny that I will chop off your legs and make damn sure you cannot follow me anymore. Is it because I am cute? Is this why the weirdos keep popping up? Should I smudge dirt all over my face or something? I mean, by the looks of this young man, he looks pretty rich, so I don't understand. But looking at his expression, that is saying, how did you know I was going to say that? I think this is not the first time he's tried to court a girl like this. Since you understand, please leave me alone, because I will only say this once more, and after this, I will start punching. I do not need a man, nor do I ever plan to get one. I have my own plans in life, and none of it has anything to do with love. What is the point of love and all that when I will probably live forever? I mean, the more I think about it, how could I deal with watching my lover grow old and gray while I do not look much different from the day we had met? To be honest, I do not think I could ever really handle that. I may have a fling here and there as I get older, but nothing serious. I mean, I cannot turn into an old prune. While I have never dated or care much about it, that does not mean that I have never dreamed of having my first kiss. I had forgotten that the young man was even here. You're going to the Royal Magic Academy, yes? I took a step back. How does he know this? Wait, if he's dressed this well, then he must be a noble of some kind, so maybe he knows who I am? But even so, I do not think what I am doing is any of a stranger's business. Anyway, I will be off. Do not bother me again, and do not even think of proposing to me again, or I will break your legs. With these words, I walked past him without waiting for his reply. I just wanted to be left alone to enjoy my journey. Hopefully, this time he will take a damn hit. I already made myself very clear, but as I was walking away, I heard the young man yell out, I am Johann Flimsley. I am Marquis Flimsley's son. I will see you at the Academy Faith, Cerelia. You damn stalker, I yelled before turning into a ray of light. I think I just had the coldest shiver in my entire life run down my spine. So that idiot didn't know who I was. Was it because I was being talked about around the capital that I was suddenly being stalked by a creepy man? I will need to make sure I keep a better eye on things when I go to sleep at night. Maybe a few more barriers, more landmine spells as well. I could even put thousands of slimes around my sleeping spot to really ward any enemies away. Well, at least this time, I think the weirdo will finally leave me alone. I just hope I can find a town here soon. I do wish to find a place to sleep for the night. I want to sleep in a nice soft bed. While I do not mind sleeping outside, it does get tiresome after a while. Sadly, I had to travel for 3 more days before I finally arrived at the next town. Just like Hammerlin, it had high walls to protect it from any monsters. The town's name was called Lovedale, and well, I am now sleeping outside for 2 reasons. 1, this town was like a red light district, and 2, they did not let me into the town. While slavery was illegal, it did not mean segregation was not. So there were many towns that demi-humans were not allowed to even enter, and Lovedale was one of them, and thankfully so. I mean, just standing at the gate, I saw scenes one should not see until they turn the proper age. My pure maiden heart was not ready, and so I am currently lying on top of a large rock out in the middle of the field, staring up at the starry sky. It is at times like this that things seem very peaceful. The sounds of the insects and nightlife around you giving off a chorus that is static enough to slowly put anyone asleep. Lately, I have found much relaxation in being alone away from everyone else. I do not have to worry about what others think or what others might do to me if I'm not paying attention. I can see why many dragons and stories back on Earth went out of their way to find caves to live in solitude, all while gathering many shiny things. But this was not in any way a change in my goals in life. I was just enjoying the fact that after a week of harassment by some idiot, that I no longer have to deal with being bothered by anyone. Although I do kind of wish I could have slept in a nice, warm, soft bed after so long. But fate was not with me. But this is also not so bad either. I have no idea when I fell asleep, but as I open my eyes once more, I can hear the sounds of howling coming from the distant forest. On top of that, the ground under me is shaking violently. I have never experienced one myself, but from what my father had told me before, the sounds and vibrations I was feeling at this time were all signs of a monster tide. I quickly got up and took to the skies and flew over toward the forest. Sure enough, the sounds of trees breaking could be heard all around. Looks like Lovedale is in for a rough night. Dash. I could tell that it was only around 2 or 3 in the morning. The moons were still high in the sky. If someone were to ask why I was not taking care of the beast tide myself since I could easily do it, my answer would be simple. They were not nice to me. Why should I do nice things for them? Treat others how you wish to be treated. That is my motto. Well, it's not, but still. If they had offered to allow me to enter the city, to get an inn, or turn me away due to my age, I would have done so, but they discriminated against me for being a demi-human. So why should I take care of it myself? They have guards who can take care of it all. But I looked over at the town that was still brightly lit and sighed. My eyes flashed with a magic circle, and 4 fireballs appeared in front of me. I can at least use this to warn them. Fireball. I changed this fire spell so that it would not burn for a long time, and so that even a drop of water could put it out. It should be enough to get the guards' attention so that they can see what is going on. My weakened fireballs flew through the air and exploded on the top of the wooden wall, setting it on fire. I could hear the shouts of the guards from where I was. Luckily, one person noticed the happenings while putting the fires out. Soon the entire wall had the town guard standing on top of it. Some even gathered at the gates, getting ready to mount a defense. As for me, I flew off to the sky and sat in the air. I took out some cookies Auntie Finna gave me, some snacks from my mother and Rachel, and a big glass of Moogoose milk. Moogoose were kind of like a cow, but just a giant bird. The milk that you got from them tasted slightly sweet. I set up my little snack party in the air as I waited for the monsters to break the forest tree line. I did not need to wait long, and to my surprise, there were quite a few high-level monsters. The levels range from level 1 all the way to level 40. Kind of makes me want to kill the level 40 ones, but that would ruin my late-night TV. Yes, I was using this as entertainment. I might sound evil, but oh well. I mean, it is not my duty to protect the masses. I was nice enough to warn them, and they look like they might be able to hold out. If it gets too bad, I might step in. But I should let them do what they are trained to do and get paid for. Protect those around them. And so, I popped a cookie in my mouth and munched on it while I watched the mass of thousands of monsters rushing towards the town. Oh, they're trying to form a defensive line? Eh, why are they only defending one area? Are they dumb? The monsters will push into town this way. Hey, no, you do not need 90% of your forces on the left side where all the low-level monsters are heading. You only need 20%. 20%. I want to smack them. I couldn't help but yell out as I munched harder on my snacks. This town guard was horrible, and their leader was ever worse. I think he is even drunk. I can't take it anymore. I really couldn't. I thought the guard would at least know what they are doing, but they are basically leaving only a few men to defend against the strongest part of the wave. I quickly stored away my snacks and wiped my mouth before flying over to where their commander was standing, swaying back and forth on top of the wall, and landed behind him. He didn't even notice me at all. I lifted my foot so that my knee reached my stomach and thrust out with it, kicking the stupid human in the butt. Stupid human. At this rate, you will all die. What the hell? Who kicked me? The drunk commander turned around to see me standing there. His eyes narrowed, probably seeing double. I waved my hand as my eyes lit up with magic circles and doused him in ice-cold water. You damn demi-brat. What do you think you are doing? What am I doing? I'm trying to help you save this town. Look at what you have ordered. How are you men supposed to protect this town if your people are all focused on the low-level monsters that even a child can kill? I was mad. The right flank was about to be overrun, but this damn madman was not even paying attention. What right is a demi-brat like you have to tell me how to command my men? I know exactly what I am. Oof off. You hit me. Oof. You hit me again. I even hit him a third time before picking him up and tossing him down to the ground below. I then flew up into the air and looked at the battle before amplifying my voice with magic. Listen to me. If you wish to protect this town, focus on the right flank. The higher-level monsters are on the right flank. A group of 100 of you can deal with the left flank. Don't listen to her. Do as I say. I heard the commander yell out as he crawled up from the dirt, blood covering his face. I'm sure I broke his nose. But he deserved it, and he deserved to be beaten up more, but now was not the time. With no time to lose on arguing with an idiot, I waved my hand and cast a binding spell on him, and also put a mute spell on him so he couldn't speak any longer. If you listen to this drunkard, you will not only kill yourselves, but also the people in the town you are supposed to protect. Move all but 100 men to the right flank now. Anyone who doesn't move will be killed on the spot. You few hundred will stay. I waved my hand once more and cut off 100 men from the rest of the group with an earth wall and corralled them towards the low-level monsters. I could hear yells of dissent directed at me, but I did not care right now. All that mattered was fending off this monster tide that seemed endless. Seeing how the other soldiers refused to move, I waved my hand once more and, using earth wall again, I started to corral the rest of the few hundred men towards the right flank. I felt like I was dealing with sheep. I could tell by the screams and yells that these men did not wish to fight the stronger monsters, but so what? This was their duty. Their duty was to protect the masses. If they cannot protect the people from a threat, what right did they have to live? If I catch any fleeing for their lives, if the situation is not against us, then I will turn them to ash. If the situation is against us, I could understand, but there were enough people here to handle the situation. Plus, they had me. Keep attacking. I yelled out. I was having a hard time dealing with these guards, as they were not willing to listen. I was currently standing on top of the wall looking down at them, but things are just not going smoothly. Should I change how I work with them? I tapped my chin as I watched more people trying to run away from the stronger monsters when there was no need to. I waved my hand, and 3 bolts of lightning struck down in front of the guards trying to run. Stop trying to run away. We are far from losing the fight, and not a single person has taken damage. So why are you trying to run? Shut up, you stupid demi. No one wants to follow under your command. One of the men yelled at me, so I struck him dead on with lightning before healing him again. I watched as the guard I just hit with lightning look up at me with fear in his eyes and sneered before cupping my ear and asking, "What? I'm sorry I didn't catch that. You wanted to fight them head on? Then what are you waiting for? Russian already." Dash. But even with this, it was only a temporary fix. There were too many, and each one seemed to despise me with a passion. To truly get them to listen, I would need to zap them all. Oh, my cute little Faith is here. Hearing that familiar voice, I turned to see a bright purple-eyed Adele standing there with a big grin on her face. "Adele, why are you here?" "I got a message from the capital saying that a bunch of nobles sent out their sons to court you." As soon as I heard that, I quickly made my way back. I have been traveling nonstop, so I might be a bit of a mess. I had stopped at the inn here and was sound asleep, but then I had a dream that I heard your voice. But it seemed it was not a dream after all, Adele said as she hooked her arm with mine, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Seeing her sudden closeness made me think of Jen from my past life. She used to do the same. She would run up to me and hook her arm with mine and hug it while talking about this and that. In a way, this made me feel a little closer to Adele. But to be honest, I am very surprised that Adele was even here. To think she turned back around to meet up with me all because those idiots were trying to find me to court me. Yes, I ran into one of those idiots. I guess I made a strange face because Adele began laughing. "Huh, I can see by your expression it must have been tough. But more importantly, are you having issues?" Adele asked as she pointed at the monster tide. Well, I wasn't really going to do anything about this because there was a town guard, but the idiot over there had no idea how to lead his troops. So I bound him, muted him, and tossed him aside. I then took command, but I feel more like a sheepherder than a commander right now because none of these men like demi-humans. To keep them in line, I have been hitting them with lightning bolts. I had no choice. If I look away for too long, someone takes a chance to try to flee, so I have been training them with love taps. "I see." Puffed. "Huh. Ha ha." Adele cracked up laughing. In a way, it was funny, but still. "Sorry, Faith. It is just that the way you speak about it makes it funny. At any rate, let me give you a hand." I watched as Adele clapped her hands, and two knights appeared on top of the wall. "You two take command and follow Faith's orders. If they do not listen, just kill them. The Gravos kingdom does not employ useless people. Those who continue to try to run away will be deemed deserters, and deserting at any point in time during a battle, whether it is enemy or beast, is grounds for death for not upholding the kingdom's law that they must vow upon when taking up a position of either a town guard or knight." Hearing Adele make such decisive actions made me realize how weak I was truly being. I knew these laws as well, but as I was only a stand-in commander and had no true authority, I resorted to striking them with lightning and then healing them. This way, they would get punished, and at the same time, I was saving myself from being charged with killing someone. Because, to be honest, I do not know if any of these guys are sons of some noble or something, and the last thing I wished to do was to suddenly become targeted for another reason altogether. Listen up, you ignorant bastards. If I catch anyone trying to run away during battle, I will kill you on the spot. One of the knights had already stepped forward and began yelling at the men down below. And shockingly, these Basta guards were listening to him without issue. It made me want to accidentally let a few lightning bolts go. "Faith, just give your orders to Sir Ranford. He will then relay it to the scum below us. I will be sure the guards of Lovedale and their commander get a good earful." I had to admit Adele seemed to be a girl of action. With the guards now under proper control, the monster tide was quickly being taken care of. While I should be rejoicing, I still couldn't bring myself to do so when I had worked so hard to get these guys to listen to me to no avail. With Sir Ranford taking command, it is as if a fire was lit under these guards' butts, or they drank a gallon of caffeine because they were all charging in with boundless energy. I let out a sigh as I continued giving my commands. I could only bitterly smile when my words were loud enough to cover the whole battlefield. Yet the guards would not budge until Sir Ranford repeated them. It must be hard. I heard Adele mutter under her breath. I knew she probably did not mean to say anything out loud. She didn't even notice she had spoken out loud. But it was true it was hard, and also made me wonder if becoming a commander was going to work. I looked up at the sky and closed my eyes. I pushed out all my negative thoughts to the back of my mind and hoped that if I work hard, I will eventually be acknowledged, that those under my command will see my hard work and show me the respect I deserve. Although I'm slightly cheating with my skills from the system, but I do hope in the future that everything will work out. This was the path I chose, after all. Under the dual command of me and Sir Ranford, the monster tide was easily repelled. So now I was standing in front of a certain idiot commander. I waved my hand and undid the binds and mute spell on him while bracing myself for what was to come. You damn demi-brat. How dare you treat me like this? Do you know who I am? She does not need to know who you are, Baron Strands. As far as I can tell, you are not even fit to hold the title of Baron. You indulge in douchebaggery and run this town as some kind of hostel. If it was not for the fact that there was still one legitimate and left in the town, I would have missed meeting up with my cute Faith. As for the monster tide, you are an utter failure as a commander. The king will hear about this. Adele's voice was loud and very cold. This was a whole new side of Adele that I'm getting to know about. And it seems Adele is truly trying to be my friend, which makes me feel slightly warm inside. And who are you to say such thing? I watched as Baron Strands turned and looked at Adele, his face turning whiter than my own. I had a feeling Adele was someone from a powerful, noble family. Maybe the daughter of a duke or even a princess. I do not think her status is lower than any of these, especially with everyone's reactions when they see her. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see Adele eyeing the Baron, as if to say, if you tell Faith who I am, I will cut off your head. You? Ahem. Oh, seems he is brighter than I thought. TCH. I was curious as to who Adele truly was, but I will wait until she is willing to tell me herself. So will you explain to me why you would give out such horrible commands, and when pointed out you do not listen at all? Are you an idiot? Adele asked, staring at Baron Strands with an eyebrow raised and her arms crossed across her chest. She even had one foot impatiently tapping the floor, waiting for his answer. Since the beast tide was over, Sir Ranford was taking care of cleaning up and ordering the guard while we were currently in the guardhouse. Adele, Adele said coldly. I covered my mouth, trying to hide my laugh. I mean, come on. The idiot already started saying your title. It does not take a genius to figure it out. I saw Adele side-eye me, so I stuck my tongue out at her. Miss Adele, you do not understand. I had everything under control. Then this demi-brat came along, and a loud sound of skin against skin rang throughout the room. I stared at Adele in disbelief. She had just smacked the Baron so hard he fell to the ground in shock. I did not want to hear you speak any discriminating words towards my friend. Faith is not someone you can speak to lightly, nor can you ever say anything that would offend her. Offending her is the same as offending the royal family. This, nothing. Now answer my question. Are you an idiot? If Faith had not stopped you and taken over command, the right flank would have been overrun. Thousands of people in this town could have been attacked by monsters and killed. This blood would be on your hands. You are lucky I do not have you dragged back to stand in front of the king to be dealt with. Adele seemed really mad. Her hand was very red. I pulled her back and cast healing magic on her hand to keep it from swelling. My guess is she used all her strength because the Baron's face was also swelling up. One should not look down on a frail-looking girl. They can produce some shocking power every now and then. Just as Adele did just now, she showed power beyond what I would ever expect. This was another reminder to myself to never underestimate anyone around me. No matter what they looked like, they could be super or powerful demon lords, and I wouldn't know it until it was too late. It was a lapse of judgment. Baron Strands finally spat out an answer, but for some reason, he was glaring at me. What did I do? I saved him from doing something stupid. I will be reporting this to the king. For now, me and my cute Faith will be heading back to the inn. Adele snorted and grabbed my hand and was about to pull me out of the guardhouse when Baron Strands suddenly yelled out, "It is fine for you to return to your inn, Miss Adele, but my town has a strict policy that no demi-humans are allowed inside." Baron Strands looked at me with his lips curled up as if he won some kind of prize. Did he really think I wanted to step foot into his lewd town? I mean, people are doing this and that in the middle of the road here. Oh, So you were saying I am not allowed to go back to the inn room I paid for? Adele asked coldly. I could see her purple gem-like eyes trying to pierce through the Baron's head. Miss Adele, I said you can go in if you want, but the demi-girl has to stay outside. I guess this Baron is truly an idiot. Did he think that Adele was trying to confirm his statement? Did he not realize what she was saying? Yes, exactly. Since Faith is not allowed in then, that means I'm not allowed in. I never thought a town under the Gravos kingdom would rebel in such a way. It seems you need to be removed from your post and have your land and title stripped from you. What do you think, Baron Strands? Sorry, from this moment on, it is Mr. Strands. Sir Ranford, Adele yelled out. It seems she was dead serious. I could only shake my head and sigh. It seems the Baron did not have much of a brain. No matter how much you hate demi-humans, you should not let your hate control your actions. Otherwise, it can come right back at you and slap you in the face. Miss Adele, you called? Sir Ranford walked into the guardhouse, his sword already drawn. Take this commoner and toss him outside the gates. Anyone with the last name Strands is no longer allowed to take a single step inside any village, town, or city within the Gravos kingdom. Adele was merciless. I never expected that she would go this far, but in a way it made me frightened. What if the two of us got into a fight? Would I be kicked out of the kingdom? Will my head roll? These kinds of thoughts began to fill my mind, causing a cold sweat to roll down my back. I would need to make sure never to anger Adele. By your word. Sir Ranford stepped forward and grabbed Mr. Former Baron by his fancy shirt and began dragging him out of the guardroom. Wait, Miss Adele, I was wrong. I can change my ways. Don't do this. Surprisingly, he was still calling Adele Miss Adele instead of the unfinished pre-title. This did show at least some loyalty to the kingdom. I mean, I believe if I spoke up for the Baron and asked Adele to give him another chance, she might just do it, but unfortunately, I was not that kind. I was already kind enough to help him protect his town, but I didn't do it for him. I did it for the people who lived here. While the guards and the Baron might be demi-haters, that did not mean everyone was. And even if it was only a few people, I hope to at least keep those people safe. There were far too few people who did not mind demi-humans after all. Sir Ranford, you are moving too slow. I did not want to hear his voice anymore, Adele said with a frown, completely ignoring the former Baron's plea. My apologies, Mississippi. Sir Ranford hastened his steps and quickly dragged the former Baron away. The only ones left were me and Adele. Now then, Adele clapped her hands and slipped her arm around mine. Us two will now head to the inn. I already have a room, so you can share a bed with me tonight. I do so wish to get to know you better. I could only helplessly smile as Adele dragged me out of the guardhouse and into town. I did not mind sharing a bed as I used to do it with Rachel all the time, but Adele always had a strange vibe about her that made me wary of her. But this could just be my overthinking. Maybe it had to do with how she acted when we first met. I'm not too sure. The hustle and bustle of the town was nowhere to be seen. Everyone had cleared the streets. Under the order of Sir Ranford, it seemed the law of the town had now changed. It was no longer a red light district like it was before. Now, there was no telling if this will last beyond this night or not, but it was at least quiet now, so I hoped to get some sleep eventually. The inn that Adele was staying at was actually quite expensive looking. It was much different than what I had expected in a town like this. It was very much the word high class. The inn itself had 7 floors and even had a lift to reach those floors that worked using magic. When we arrived at the top floor, Adele dragged me along to the end room and opened the door using a key that was imbued with magic and brought me into what I would call presidential suite. A large sitting room, dining room, a massive bedroom with a huge bath, and even a small kitchen at the side. To this world's standards, it was very extravagant. Come, I'm sure you must be tired. The bath here is already hot, so help yourself. I will ready some food for you. Believe it or not, I am not a bad cook, Adele said with her nose held high. I could tell she seemed to take pride in her cooking. It did make me smile, though, but what I did not get was why. Why was Adele being so nice? This seemed to be beyond her scope of duty, would it not? Adele, I know this might sound rude coming from me, but why are you doing all of this for me? Adele looked at me with uncertain eyes before lowering her head. She played with her fingers for a minute as if lost in thought. You're the first. From the moment we met, you have not treated me special at all. You treated me as if I was a normal girl without much concern for doctrine. As you may have guessed, I am not some ordinary girl. I am none other than Princess Adelia Gravos. I am the first and only princess of the royal family. When I first heard my father speaking about you, I instantly wished to get to know you more. A girl my age was able to fell multiple armies of an enemy nation and did so without asking for anything in return. When I thought about the courage that it must have taken to confront such an adversary, I wondered if I would ever have to make such a choice in my life. If I could do what you did. When I found out that my father wished to reward you by giving you a chance to join the Royal Academy, I begged for him to let me be the one to see you in person. I begged and even made my case, saying that since you were a young girl, having some ugly old man show up would make you feel uncomfortable. It was only then that he finally allowed me to make the trip to go to your house. When I saw you for the first time, I watched as you laid on the stone wall without a care in the world, chewing on a blade of grass. The sight alone tickled me slightly and made me giggle. It was then that I thought to myself, wouldn't it be nice if I could have a friend like this who was so carefree? A true friend, dash. Faith, you might not believe it, but as someone who is a princess, I should have girls my age flocking to my side, wanting to be my friend. I watched as Adele's expression turned to one of self-deprecation. She gave me a forced smile as she continued, but you know, each one of those girls does not care a wink about me. They care about my status. They care about propping their family up and getting a higher rank. They care about using my royal status to bully those as they want, and then get angry when I tell them to never do such acts again. I'm someone who loves the people of the Gravos kingdom. I love each and every person in it, as it is what allows the kingdom to flourish. Whether it is demi-human or human, each one plays an important role in our economy and allows our kingdom to stand tall amongst those who wish to see it fall. But even so, I do not wish to be treated like a princess. I do not need fake friends. I only need a single true friend and nothing more. I am sorry for keeping my title a secret, but I did not wish for you to change your attitude about me due to my status. I just wish for us to be true friends, someone I could confide in and who would confide in me. I will understand if you do not wish to be friends with me anymore after this. But I hope you will maaf. I placed my finger on Adele's lips before pulling her into a hug. A person in high standing is not always happy. Only having those around you who only care about using you is never fun. I can feel Adele's sincerity. I can hear the cries from the bottom of her heart that are asking for someone to truly be her friend, someone she can trust and rely on. Then, Adele, let me reintroduce myself. I pulled away from Adele and took a step back and bowed my head slightly. My name is Faith Cerilia. I am nothing more than a farmer's daughter from the border village of Cerilia, born and raised by two wonderful parents. I hope on this day the two of us can truly become friends. Adele's eyes were staring at me in disbelief before a smile finally formed on her lips. She then pulled the hem of her skirt into a curtsy and bowed her head to me. Miss Faith, my name is Princess Adelia Gravos, first princess of the Gravos kingdom. I may be royalty, but I do hope you will treat me as a normal girl and will become my true friend. Hee, you can count on me. I smiled and pulled Adele's hand. My worries about before were completely gone. I did not see a princess in front of me, but a true friend that I can rely on in the future. Her being a princess was only a side bonus, because I can tell from how Adele acts that she truly does love the people of this nation and is thinking about how to best benefit the people. If I can help her in this endeavor, then I will do so. I can also tell she is not lying about wanting to be my friend. Some may say I'm being too naive, but one does not know what is over the hill unless one climbs to the top to see for themselves. I feel being true friends with Adele is worth the risk. The worst thing that can happen is I get mad and blow up the kingdom, right? Maybe one day, I will tell her about my system and ask her if she is willing to allow me to use my appraisal on her. As of now, I only use it on monsters and plants, but I do wonder what kind of information I will get when used on a human. Maybe there are 3 sizes? I gazed at Adele's chest, then at my own. A sigh escaped my lips as I realized that life may just be unfair after all. I am still growing, but so is Adele. With our formal introductions now over, Adele chased me to the bathroom so I could wash up before running off to the kitchen. And I must say the bath in this and was absolutely amazing. It was just the right temperature, and the hot water was sinking into my bones, causing me to almost pass out from comfort. It had already been well over a week since my last hot bath, so I was a little stinky. And now that I think about it, Adele had been quite close to me. No wonder she was pushing me into the bath so quickly. She must have smelled my stink. Huh, so embarrassing. Oh well, not like I'm trying to impress her or anything. Faith, I left a nightshirt and some underwear here for you. I do hope they will fit. I'm not sure since they are not meant for demi-humans. Adele's voice came in from the other side of the door. The bath had a dressing room area where you could change your clothes that was split from the bath area by a door. To be honest with how Adele acted, I expected her to come waltzing in to take a peek. But I guess that only happens in those Japanese light novels back on Earth. Not that it matters. I got everything she has, so it's not much to look at unless she had a tail fetish. Rachel had such a fetish. Would a princess be willing to shine my scales for me, though, I wonder? My mind wandered a bit more before I noticed my fingers pruning, so I decided it was time to get out. I slipped out of the bath and used magic to dry myself off from head to toe before wrapping a towel around me and walking to the dressing room. As Adele said, there was a nightshirt and some underwear for me to wear. Surprisingly, the underwear was a lower cut. While I had clothes in my inventory, I remembered what Jessel said about it and decided to just wear what was given to me. I mean, I cannot just suddenly pull my travel bag out of nowhere and go, "Teehee, I had this the entire time." Adele was a bright girl, so this would not work on her. So I could only put on the clothes she offered and walk out of the bathroom. Luckily, everything fit rather well and even took into account my wings with an open back. Although the back of the nightshirt rose up due to my tail, but there was nothing I could do about that. I mean, when I was in a good mood, my tail would curl up a little and not drag on the floor. Only when my mood was down did it droop down on its own. My tail seemed to have a mind of its own. As soon as I opened the door to the bathroom, my nose was filled with the smell of cooked food, and surprisingly it did smell quite good. I guess it goes to show that Adele did have a thing for cooking. Faith, perfect timing. I was just setting the table. "Come eat." Adele's excited voice filled my ears. She looked much happier than before. Maybe because she was now open about her status? Either way, it was good to see someone as nice as Adele smiling. She reminded me a lot of Jen, my best friend on Earth. Maybe this was why I was starting to feel a kind of kinship with her. At any rate, she is the first friend I have made outside my family. Now, let's hope I do not die to her cooking. I sat down at the table where Adele was placing plates of food in front of me. Each plate smelled very good. There was a noodle dish, a meat dish, a salad, and a few other side dishes I had never seen before. "Adele, you really outdid yourself." Hee. Adele put her hands on her hips and held her nose high. Cooking is one of the only hobbies I can do. It was also in preparation for when I got married to some man, but I am not so sure I want to marry anymore. "Why is that?" I asked, tilting my head to the side. But when I thought about it, it was kind of dumb of me to ask such a stupid question. Everyone had their reasons, like I, for one, do not see a reason to marry when my lifespan will be longer than others. I suddenly realized that marrying someone I do not love or wish to be with is not something I want to do. I am sure my father will not be happy, but what can he do about it? Tie me up and ship me off to another country to marry some prince I never met before? I love my kingdom, but I also think I deserve to have my own happiness. In Faith, I have you to thank for opening my mind to allowing myself to seek just that. I cannot really relate to Adele's consequences since I did not grow up in a royal family, but I can say that if I was in her shoes, I'd run away as fast as I could. But I do not know what I have done to cause her to change her mind, though. But even though I was a bit confused, I knew one thing. Then, if you're ever forced into a marriage you do not wish to be in, then call for me, and I will swoop in and save the day. Then I will be counting on my cute little knight in shining armor to save me at that time. Adele smiled with blushing cheeks. She did have a cute side to her, after all. I must say, though, Adele, the man you do end up falling for will be one happy person. This food is amazing. I was starting to wonder if everyone in this world were 5-star chefs. I mean, everything I have tried since being reborn in this world is always amazing. Adele gave me a forced smile and continued eating. I wonder if I said something wrong? Maybe it's just my imagination. After a very well-made dinner, I climbed into bed with Adele. Adele was wearing the same kind of nightshirt I was, except hers did not have an open back, which confused me as to why mine did. It was almost as if she was prepared for everything. Not that I am really complaining, I do finally get to sleep in a comfy bed for the first time in a while. So I immediately snuggled into the blankets without reserve. I guess Adele did find it amusing, cause I heard her chuckling at the side. This is the first time I am actually sleeping in bed with another person. I am glad my first experience is with someone who is not out to use me, or a man I barely know. Adele said as she snuggled up next to me. To be honest, I was not sure how to respond to her words. All I did know was that I was very tired. When I woke up the next morning, I was met with Adele's head using my shoulder as a pillow and my arm as a hug pillow. She was still sleeping peacefully. I have no idea when I fell asleep, but I did sleep very well. Seeing Adele's sleeping face next to me, I could tell she was in a deep sleep as well. She looked very relaxed, although her brow was slightly furrowed, which made me wonder what she was dreaming about. My first slumber party with my new friend was quite uneventful. I was expecting Adele to talk my ear off, but it seemed she respected the fact that I was tired and let me sleep. My guess was that she was also really tired. I laid there staring at the ceiling for a while before Adele finally stirred. She lifted her head and rubbed her eyes, looking quite confused. "Faith! All right. Good morning. Good morning," I said with a smile while stretching my now free arm. It had gone numb a while ago. "Let me wash my face, and I will prepare breakfast." Adele crawled out of bed. Surprisingly, she looked used to doing things herself. You would expect a princess to need a maid or two to take care of her, but she seemed fine and right at home, doing everything on her own, although a little shameless, as she did just take off all her clothes in front of me to put on new ones before heading out of the room. She did seem to be in a daze, though. About 10 minutes later, I sighed and stretched once more while letting out a yawn. Only then did I get up myself as I decided to head to the bathroom. But before I could, I heard Adele's voice call back into the room. "Faith, I have clothes prepared for you in the bathroom, so wash up and get changed. Breakfast will be ready soon." I almost yelled back, "Yes, Mom," but I held it in and chuckled to myself. But once again, I was given a surprise. Shorts that took into account my tail. A shirt that also accounted for my wings. A pair of socks, boots, and even a hat. Did Adele prepare all of these just in case? This was the main question on my mind, so after getting dressed, I walked out to the dining area and sat down. When Adele came out, I decided to ask, "Thanks for the food. But Adele, why do you have clothes and clothes that fit me so well?" Sorry. Must seem strange, right? Well, I kind of had them prepared before turning around. I had planned to give you these clothes on your first day at the academy as a gift, but I ended up giving them to you now instead. As for the sizes, I asked your sister-in-law, Rachel. I kind of wish I knew when she had time to do all of this. Did she even meet Rachel? I had my suspicions, but since Adele said it like this, I can only just accept what she is saying. For all I know, she had used some spell on me to get all my body measurements when she held hands with me back at the house. Just getting clothes made would take a while as well. Well, thank you. It is thoughtful of you to prepare so much for me. I could only give a smile and change the subject. Are you going to head back to the capital today? What about you? Do you plan to wander around more? Adele asked. Her eyes showed a bit of envy. I guess as a princess, her ability to run around and do as she pleases is very limited. I was thinking about it. I still have a few months, and if I really need to rush, I can always use magic to speed along and make it there in a week or less, depending on where I am at the time. The world is vast, and ever since I was young, I've always wanted to go on a journey and see its beauty. While I still have this dream, I figured I would live it in between following my new dream of becoming a commander of my own army. I still had plenty of time and have seen so little. I want to check out as much as I could before arriving in the capital. I see. Adele lowered her head as she took another bite of her food. I knew her mood had been ruined, but there was not much I could do. We were friends, yes, but I still had things I wished to do as well. About a minute later, I heard Adele speaking in a low voice. If you do not mind, can I travel with you for a short time? We will be surrounded by guards, but I still do not want to head back just yet, and was kind of hoping we could travel together. That's fine. I saw no reason why not. I mean, it's more fun to travel with others to experience things with friends. While it can be fun to travel alone, it does get boring being by yourself. Great. There's a place I wish to take you to that I am sure you will love. It is a place I discovered by accident. It is a very mystical place. Adele's eyes lit up. Her gloomy mood was all gone. Seeing her smiling again made me feel better. I was starting to feel bad for leaving her alone after she had turned around to come back to help me out. Then let's check it out. 2 weeks later, the carriage that I was in stopped off on a side road. While calling a road might be stretching it, but because it was more of a path cut through the thick forest. To be honest, I thought that riding in a carriage for 2 weeks would be uncomfortable, but I guess royalty really knows how to ride in style. For one thing, I never would have thought that there was a thing called dimensional magic. It was a type of magic that could create a whole different space. From what Adele told me, this magic requires 10 people to cast, and each one needs to be linked up because the spell itself is crazy long. Probably something I could not even cast in my current state. But I still wish to see the magic equation for it. It was different from spatial magic because dimensional magic was a place living beings could enter and had to be stationary, whereas spatial magic could be accessed from anywhere. Now, if you put such a thing on a carriage, it can then move around, but it has to be moved manually. And the carriage we were in had a small compartment that could be entered that was big enough for a small bed and a bathroom. It felt kind of strange entering the door in the back of the carriage to find a small bedroom that was just as big or even bigger than the carriage itself. And by small bed, I mean a bed big enough for 2 people. If it was a single-size bed, there would be room for more things in the room. But just to make something this size took a long time to do. The equation always has to be adjusted for what you were trying to create. Adele told me that there were places called small worlds that were created in ancient times that are not even close to being fully explored that the Magic Academy has access to. There were dungeons and all kinds of things inside to explore. And every year, the students would enter them to try their luck. If you brought something back, the Academy would reward you with extra merits. Sadly, some of these small worlds had multiple entrances, so other kingdoms would also use them. But there seemed to be some kind of fundamental law that every kingdom would only allow those under the age of 18 in. This has been some kind of strict rule that, if broken, would result in every kingdom attacking the one who broke it. Adele also told me that the dangers inside were not only students from other kingdoms, but also the rare and ancient monsters living inside. It truly amazed me that the more I learned about this world, the more exciting it seemed. Such a large, vast world that seemed to have no end to it was waiting to be explored. As I'm supposedly going to be long-lived, I had plenty of time to explore it all. I wonder what else I will find in the future. Maybe some underground civilization with high technology? Or some ancient alien technology not of this world? My imagination couldn't help but run wild. But it was because of this that I so wished to explore things in the future. But getting back to the carriage, it was a rather smooth ride, especially since we had the small space to sleep in. During these 2 weeks, I have learned a lot about Adele. Like she's pretty much able to do anything. She is well suited for living outside the castle with her survival abilities. She knows which plants in the forest are editable or which plants can help heal wounds. Even the plants that are rare that could be taken back to be sold for a fair amount of gold. I, of course, did not let them pass by me, so I picked them up and stored them away. Because we have gotten closer, I told her about my spatial magic. I didn't tell her about the system itself, but I did let her know about my ability to store things. She pouted for a few hours, but soon got over it soon after. I guess she was happy that she could give me nice clothes. While it was nice of her, I felt like it was taking advantage of her, which was not good. Friendship was not something you could buy, and I think this was why she was always trying to buy me many new things. Like we stopped in one city, yes, an actual city. And when I say city, I mean something along the lines of the size of like Connecticut in the United States back on Earth, but the entire thing as one city. She dragged me to these high-end shops and was buying me all kinds of dresses that fit demi-humans, which were more expensive than a regular dress. To be honest, I kind of felt weird wearing a dress. Between the people who were glaring at me hatefully and my own self-conscious with wearing a dress, I just felt out of place. I did find out, however, that while the city I was in, which was called Dagner, allowed demi-humans to live there, it was just that the quality of life was not very good for them. So me being a demi-human in a fancy store made me the center of attention, and I am sure if it was not for Sir Ranford and the other knights surrounding me and Adele, we would have been tossed out. Another thing I had noticed was that no one even knew who Adele was. But I guess this was normal, as there was no real communication between the cities besides inspections that happened twice a year. So no one even knew what their king looked like. This has also bothered me a great deal, as it must be hard to understand how your citizens are living if you're only reading reports from each city, town, and village. Those who do the inspection might be even taking a kickback on top of it to leave out anything that is unfavorable to the noble who is in charge of that city, town, or village. As such, there's no telling how much money is actually being embezzled or whether it is actually being used appropriately, like funds to aid the poor and farmers that are under a noble's rule. When I asked Adele about this, she could only give me a bitter smile and tell me that because the kingdom was so big, it was indeed hard to keep track of it all, even with a team of people working on it. The filing system they used magic for indexing things and keeping things on file, which was pretty interesting, but it was not foolproof. Many mistakes can be made, and everything is only registered based on what is reported by the investigators. At any rate, you could say I now have a few fancy dresses. I did plan to buy some at some point because I heard there would be dancing in the academy that required formal wear. So now I guess I would be all set. After all, I was not going to the academy to become a prim and proper young lady. I was going there to learn military tactics and become a good commander. A life filled with battle is the life I plan to lead. I would be one of those old army veterans who tells war stories to their grandkids, although I think I would only be telling them to the new slimes that I replicate. Adele fell in love with Mr. Blobs when I re-summoned him during our trip. He was now treated as the king of the carriage. She would feed him all kinds of things, which sadly did not raise his level at all. Adele's face blanched when she saw me throw a random monster corpse to him that was 20 times his size. She even yelled at me and told me he was going to get fat and lazy. I had to explain everything to her about how slimes worked before she finally understood. Only then did she let Mr. Blobs eat the monster corpse. But that brought on all kinds of new problems because the corpse disappeared as soon as Mr. Blobs touched it. I really had no way of explaining it, so I lied and said that Mr. Blobs was a rare kind of slime and that I had no idea what breed he was. With so many things happening, you can say that the past 2 weeks have been fun and fulfilling, which brings us to the path we were about to set out on. I still have no idea where we are going, and Adele refuses to tell me. But I was very curious as to how Adele knows about anything out this far from the capital. I mean, she told me herself that she rarely leaves the capital for anything, and even if she does, it is only a few miles away from the capital itself. Not that it really matters. If she wishes to tell me, she will. We will need to go on foot from here, so it will probably be best if we change, Adele said while grabbing my hand and pulling me into the small bedroom. Do you have armor, Adele? I asked as I started to pull out my leather armor and the underclothes that went with it. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Adele already taking her own clothes out and felt my question was kind of stupid, but she still kindly answered with a nod. Yep, everyone needs to have armor when going to the academy, so I have a few sets. A few sets? I looked at my only set of armor that I normally had to wash a few times a week and sighed. Must be nice to be rich. I really need to start earning some money. Although I guess normally, when one went out, it could be said they would only be carrying a single set of armor on them. So I guess it was not wrong to only have one set. I think I will start going with the motto of only real adventurers wear one set of armor until it cannot be worn anymore. Although I do get annoyed with how sweaty I can get when it is hot. Maybe you should get a few sets after all when I become rich. So much for my motto. Dash. What's so funny? Adele's voice entered my ear. I almost jumped out of my skin because she put her face right next to it. I looked over at Adele, who was already dressed while I was still standing there in my underwear, and pursed my lips, just thinking about something my brother did when he was younger. And so I lied. But I can't help it. It is too embarrassing to say that I was lost in my own thoughts and that I was basically talking to myself and making myself laugh. She will think I am crazy, and then bam, I will be booted out of the carriage. Adele raised an eyebrow as I quickly averted her eyes and began putting my armor on at lightning speed. A couple of minutes later, we were standing outside the carriage, looking at the long path in front of us. It was already starting to get dark, but I guess there was a reason why we had to make this trek at night. Sir Ranford stood in front of us and began issuing some warnings. The place we are heading to is owned by the spirit race. We must not by any means attack anything unless it attacks us first. So it seems this place is under the watchful eye of the kingdom. No wonder Adele knew about this place. This at least answered the question I had before. Princess, Miss Faith, always watch where you are stepping as well. Do not step on any spirits by accident. Spirits come in all different shapes and sizes and are easily injured, but if angered, they could upturn the entire kingdom by causing droughts and other natural disasters. The spirit race was a race that was the closest to the world and was born from the world. Any spirit race habitats were always secured and protected by the government. A 1,000-mile perimeter is always established around their habitats. So this way, even the soldiers would not be able to bother them. During times of war, a huge force of soldiers would protect the habitat before any cities or towns. This was just how important they were. And a commoner like me would never be able to check this place out without being with someone from the royal family. I had read all of this in a book and was a major part of any kingdom's history. It was also something I needed to learn more about when I entered the academy. They say knowledge is the greatest weapon, and to be honest, it truly was. Are you ready? Sir Ranford asked. Yes. Both Adele and I responded at the same time, causing us to giggle. While Sir Ranford was trying to be all serious, I was still rather calm, because if anything happened, I could quickly act no matter what the situation held. At least I hoped. All the guards except Sir Ranford all stayed behind, while Sir Ranford led the way. We made our way down the path that had tall grass up to my shoulders growing on the sides that hung over the sides of the path. We had to watch our step every inch of the way to make sure no spirits would fall victim to death by foot. Although we did not actually see any spirits until about 3 hours later when the sun finally went down. Only then did we start to see glowing lights begin to fill the forest all around us. And to my amazement, spirits of all sizes began walking around. Some were shaped like leaves, while some took on the forms of sticks. There were even those who were nothing but a rock. Each one had a set of big black eyes and almost stick-figure-sized arms and legs. You could even see some floating through the air as little balls of light. From here on, be extra careful, Sir Ranford reminded. But what made me chuckle was the cute little voices of the spirits that repeated Sir Randoford's words. Yeah, be careful. He said to be careful. Careful, careful. I smiled and looked at the cute little spirits that were coming to check us out. I guess they were quite a curious race. I had a few climbing up my leg, so I stopped so that they would not get hurt. I even helped them up so they wouldn't fall. But as I did all this, everyone else was giving me strange looks, which made me realize that neither Adele nor Sir Ranford has a single spirit around them. I watched as Adele smiled warmly at me and shook her head. Leave it to Faith to do the unthinkable. I could only smile and stick my tongue out at her. The little spirits kept coming out of nowhere and climbing on top of me. At some point, I have no idea when, but my head was covered in quite a few of them. Some rode on my horns while others swung from my hair. To be honest, this was the first place that seemed truly magical to me in this world. I know this sounds weird since I've been casting magic, but this was how I truly felt at this time. As we walked further up the path, the bigger the spirits got as well. Currently, I had 2 rock spirits holding my hands while more large ones surrounded me. I do not know what it is that they like about me, but they seemed dead set on being near me. Adele, on the other hand, was pouting. She wanted to have one of the little ones sit on her shoulder, but it spat at her and called her stinky. I almost died from laughter while Sir Radford's face turned bright red from trying to hold back his laughter. And poor Adele, the victim, lowered her head and pouted even more. By the time we reached the top of the mountain, it was already late into the night. But what stood before us was truly a mystical sight. A large ancient tree spirit with a humanized face made of bark and a long beard made of leaves sat at the peak, looking at us with curious eyes. To think humans would come this far after such a long time, and even a dragon who is loved by the spirits. This is indeed a grand occasion. I'd been wondering why the little one seemed so excited. I watched as Adele stepped forward and dropped to one knee with her head bowed. Your Grace, I have come with a word from my father. He says the war has been quelled, and the lands are safe once more. To ensure the safety of your lands, we had over 1 million soldiers encircling your territory to make sure it was safe. I see. It is good the pact with your kingdom is being upheld. As you know, I am able to see all that happens in this kingdom. Every vibration is felt by me. I know that you humans are not all good, but I can see that you are at least good at sticking to your word. But this little girl is very different. She gives off a feeling that I have not felt since ancient times. Strong yet noble, one who will help those in need. It is also thanks to her that your human war was quelled so quickly. I hope you humans will treat her well. I was a little shocked by what I was hearing. Why would the leader of the spirits of this kingdom go so far to speak out for me? Your Grace, you do not need to worry about this. On my name, Adelia Gravos, I swear on my honor that I will be harmed first before any harm comes to Faith. Hearing Adele swear on such a thing left me feeling strange inside. Why would Adele protect me over her own life? Adele, please retract that statement. Your life is not something that should be taken lightly. I really couldn't have Adele sacrificing herself for me at some point to uphold her word. I mean, I have Mana's shield. What can hurt me unless it is indirect? The last thing I want on my consciousness is Adele being seriously hurt or ending up dead thinking she is protecting me. No, I will not. Adele immediately refused. Looking at her serious expression, I could only sigh. I guess I can only promise inwardly that I will keep her safe if anything were to happen. I guess Adele was happy with me giving in so easily because her puffed-out cheeks quickly turned into a satisfied smile. The leader of the spirits looked back and forth between us and nodded his head. I see you're both close, which is good. Child of dragons, I must ask you to look over this kingdom as well. Over the years, this kingdom has always held true to its promises and has made sure my lands are peaceful and kept safe from any of the other races. My spirit race is not one that can fight easily, and when we do, it will bring devastation to the lands, even if it is not the fault of those who live upon them. But we are also not a race that can be created easily, as we are all born from the planet itself. So I ask that if those from outside this kingdom come to invade these lands, that you assist the kingdom in warding them off. If you do this for me, I will be sure that your home village will always have a bountiful harvest. I gazed up at the leader of the spirits who was trying to make a deal with me in surprise. I guess he truly can see everything in this kingdom. But this was not a bad deal. It would not only help my family out, but also align with my goal in life anyway. You have my word. If war breaks out, I will be on the front lines defending this land. I also do not wish to see anyone taint these lands of yours. Not when so many cute spirits live here. Dash, then I give you my thanks. It looks like this kingdom will have a prosperous future with this child helping it out. I kind of felt embarrassed. I have done nothing, but the leader of the spirits kept showering me with praise. I now had to live up to his expectations and keep my end of the bargain so that my family, no matter how long they live for, will always have good lives. For farmers, having a bountiful harvest every year is something that brings life and energy into their passion. My father loved working in the fields, and so did my brother. My brother will one day take over for my father as he grows older and will also have his own family grow more and more. The more they can harvest each year, the more they can sell to the merchants. It would then allow them to provide for the new Cerealia that are born. A faint smile formed on my lips, thinking about it. My nephew will one day grow up and have kids, and his kids will also grow old and have children of their own. I just hope each one of them will live peaceful and eventful lives full of happiness. And I will watch quietly from his side. Faith, Adele called out to me, breaking me out of my thoughts. I looked over at her and smiled. Thank you for bringing me here today, Adele. I just wanted you to see this place. Adele blushed slightly, but I'm really glad I got come here. I got to see such an amazing place. This will always be a day I will remember. We ended up talking with the leader of the spirits for a while before saying our goodbyes. But before we left the mountain, a voice entered our ears. Child of the dragons, please wait a moment. I turned my head and looked up towards a mountaintop. One of my kind has tried to hide themselves in your hair. Little one, it is useless to hide. The leader of the spirit's voice was stern. Soon I felt some tousling in my hair before a flower spirit popped its head out from within. I want to go with her. The flower spirit voice sounded like a young girl, but I could only assume that she must be much older. I could also hear a bit of stubbornness in her voice. You know, it is dangerous outside for our kind. If you leave this mountain, I cannot protect you no matter what happens. I guess according to the leader of the spirit's words, the spirits here are allowed to roam as they please, but will not be protected by the pact of the kingdom. I know, but I will be safe with her. The little voice replied as the small figure with a humanoid shape, wearing a green leaf bell-shaped dress and had a flower growing out of the top of her head, floated in front of me. It had seemed to be a girl from what I could tell. I'm not sure if spirits had a male or female. I watched as she turned to me and bowed her head. Please let me come with you. I will hide myself in your hair. No one will know I am there. A long, drawn-out sigh came from the top of the mountain. Child of dragons, would you mind looking after this little one? It's fine. I do not see why not. But she will need to behave. I had no issues if she followed me around. I mean, after all, she was cute and small, so she wouldn't take up any space. I wonder if she will get along with Mr. Blobs? I guess I will need to introduce them later. Then I will leave this little one in your care. Child of dragons, I bid you farewell and safe journeys. The voice of the spirit leader began to fade at the end. I gave a slight bow and turned back around. I guess I got a new travel companion. I looked at the flower spirit and smiled, and held out my hand. Since we will be traveling together, just call me Faith. Do you have a name by chance? No. Spirits normally do not have names. Only names humans give us. Names have no meaning for us. But if you, Faith, wish to give me a name, I will gladly accept. The little flower spirit replied. I stood there and thought for a moment, looking at the little spirit before a name popped into my mind. How about Little Bell? Her dress was shaped like a bell, which reminded me of a bellflower from back on Earth. They were very pretty flowers and had a bell shape. Little Bell. Little Bell seemed to fall into thought for a second before nodding her head. This name I like, thank you, Faith. Then shall we go? I asked, motioning with my hand. Little Bell nodded and landed on my hand before running up to my shoulder and hiding in my hair. I will stay here. It will be the safest place for me. Little Bell seemed to want to just be there for the ride, as if she was on vacation. With everything settled and an envious Adele, we exited the path and made our way back to the carriage. It was already very late in the night, so we planned to stay the night in the carriage at the end of the footpath. Adele was full of all kinds of complaints because the spirits did not like her. Even Little Bell kept her distance from her. I felt bad, but also found it kind of funny. Tomorrow, we will head out of this special area and head back onto the road towards the capital. Faith, are you sure you won't travel with me? I could tell Adele did not want to travel alone. But I also knew once we reached the capital, we would need to separate as well. At the rate that we are traveling, we will also be there about a month before the Academy's entrance tests. This means I could still take the time to get to know the area around the capital and the capital itself. Since I could enjoy my time with my new friend before we would be split apart for a while, I figured why not. I have all the time in the world to travel around. Yeah, we could travel together. Once we reach the capital, you will need to go to the castle anyway. And I can take some time getting used to the city. Really? No, wait. You can't say no now. You already said yes. Adele looked very happy, which made me smile. I just hope nothing happens in the future that will make this girl who longed for a friend to do something stupid, like try to protect me, using her life. One thing I have learned in my 12 years on this world is that when people give their word about something, most of them will always keep that word. I guess I will just need to make sure nothing happens that will put her in danger. And new novel cover. The complete and full-size image can be found on Discord. Faith. Adele threw her arms around me and hugged me tightly. These past few months have been the most fun I have ever had. I truly hope this next month quickly passes by. It really has been fun. I was not lying. The past few months while traveling with Adele had really been fun. The two of us could be said to be close sisters now. We spent every waking moment together and stopped off to see a few of the sights of the kingdom along the way, courtesy of our tour guide, Sir Ranford. We saw awesome, majestic waterfalls and many villages, towns, and cities along the way, and now I was at the capital, Sky Lake City. The capital that floated in the sky. Well, a good portion of it. But sadly, I would not get to see the floating island part of the kingdom until I passed through the large gates in front of me and made my way further into the city. The floating island was actually hidden by an illusion spell, and one needed to enter the capital's middle region to even see it. During our travels, I think Sir Ranford was only stopping off at demi-human welcoming places because we did pass a few places that we could have gotten in at only to pass them and camp outside, which I did not mind, and neither did Adele. I found out Adele is scared of ghost stories. We had quite a bit of fun sitting around the campfire telling scary stories. Adele's face would always pale while holding my arm, shaking in her boots at the simplest story. It gave me a reason to tease her before sleeping. Sometimes we slept in the carriage. Other times, I would put up a protective barrier so we could sleep out under the stars. It was truly a fun time. And like all fun times, they do have to come to an end, as everyone has their own duties and lives they need to live. My only issue is the fancily dressed young man who has the same smirk on his face as the smirking knight who came with Adele to my home in Cerelia Village. It was so similar that I was starting to think that he was indeed that knight. But something fell off. Adele, who is the dork over there? Dork? Adele raised her head and looked at me with a confused expression. I kind of figured that the word dork would not register in this world, but I couldn't help but call him that. The smirking fancy pants over there, I said out loud, making sure the young man heard me. I mean, he was staring at me, and it was annoying. Adele turned her head, and her eyes went big. Brother? Why are you here? Brother? I suddenly had a bad feeling. I am not sure if it was the fact that the only princess of Gravos called the young man brother or not, but I can only assume that Mr. Fancy Pants is one of the 3 princes of Gravos. I just hope my remark just now will not get my head cut off and 9 generations of my family killed. I mean, his entire being froze upon hearing my words. The face he was making also did not look right. Smirking Fancy Pants. PFFTTT. Ha ha ha. It fits. Adele suddenly registered my words and began laughing so hard she had tears in her eyes. My dear sister, it is not very ladylike to laugh like this in public. And Lady Faith, we meet again. Let me formally introduce myself. I am the first Prince of Gravos. Prince Lance Gravos, the Crown Prince of Gravos. Lance gave me a knightly bow. I do admit he is very handsome when he is not smirking. I do not know if he thinks that smirk of his is sexy or not, but it makes him look minus 100 points lower than he does now when he is acting regally. Oh, it's back again. I bit my tongue in order to not comment, before giving a proper courtesy that Adele was kindly nice enough to teach me during our trip, along with other proper etiquettes. Prince Lance, it is a pleasure. My name is Faith Cerelia. Please call me Faith. The word lady really doesn't suit me. It is a pleasure. Prince Lance replied with that stupid smirk. I really can't take it anymore. It just looks so stupid. Prince Lance, if I may say something that might cause you to want to chop off my head. I just couldn't stand it. For a handsome man to ruin his image by putting on such a stupid smirk just irks me. I mean, I would do the same if this was my father or brother. Now I'm sure there must be quite a few gaga females in this kingdom who faint when they see that stupid smirk, but not me. I come from a place where idols were in full bloom. Jen had even showed me a magazine of some male idol groups before. While I never really understood the appeal, I can at least say they were indeed handsome, and their smirks made them look sexier, but this prince, it just ruined his whole image. And this is coming from someone who doesn't plan to get married. But I do like to look at beautiful people, whether it is a man or a woman. I saw Prince Lance's lips curl up into a curious smile, causing me to wish I never opened my mouth. Faith, you need to be straight with him. He always does as he pleases. His Majesty will let it slide, even if you beat him up. Adele snorted and stood at my side. The way she looked at her brother was as if she was trying to keep a thieving cat from stealing her man. I watched as Prince Lance glared at Adele before turning to me and smiling. Yes, please feel free to speak. Then, can you please stop with that stupid smirk? It really ruins your handsome face. Since I got the go-ahead and have Adele's backing, I said it straight. Ha 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 ha. She's so right. I keep telling you that that stupid smirk on your face made you look dumb. Ha ha ha. Adele was cracking up while Prince Lance's face turned black. The smirk was all gone, replaced with a sulking one. At least now he still looked handsome. But the noble ladies seemed to like it. I heard Prince Lance mumble under his breath. I could only scream out, I knew it, inside my head. I mean, of course, the noble ladies will praise him for everything he does. He is the crown prince, after all. Well, I just figure I should tell you that. I do apologize if I have offended you. I decided it was best to make sure I apologized. I was pretty blunt just now. No, it is fine. What others think does not matter. Only what Faith thinks matters. Ed, did I just get it on? I really wouldn't know, but I might have been. Or else he might just be being nice. I bet in reality, he actually wants to chop off my head for making him lose face. Brother, what is the meaning of this? Adele stood in front of me with her arms stretched out to her sides. More like sister, what are you doing? Prince Lance and Adele were both glaring at each other. Are they having a feud? I decided to cut in before they started brawling here in the middle of the street. I wonder if the two siblings were not on good terms? My brother and I never fought much. I used to pick on him, but he would let me get away with it most of the time. And the times he didn't, he would just tickle me until I almost peed myself. Although one time I did, and I ended up kicking him in the face out of anger. That time ended with me getting reprimanded by father. Not like I meant to break his nose. I mean, he made me pee myself. Anyway, this was a family secret that no one will ever find out. But to have a very serious fight? I have never had the chance to have one since my family always cared about each other. Umph! Adele snorted once more before turning her attention to me and smiling. She even took my hands as she began speaking. Faith, the inn is right down the road. It is called the Hayward Inn and is very demi-human friendly as well as high class. Then owner is already expecting you. You can stay there for now while we get the house we have prepared for you to stay at prepared. Adele, you really did not need to do all that. I couldn't help but feel that Adele was spoiling me a bit too much. I did have money of my own, but I guess this is all set up by the king himself, so I probably should just accept it. No, she didn't need to. Faith, you must understand that you have done a great deed for our kingdom. His Majesty did not wish to bring you to the capital without having proper accommodations, and we already said that everything will be provided by the royal family. So it is fine. Prince Lance cut in, which for some reason caused Adele's gaze to turn a little scary. Then I thank you both and His Majesty. It is fine, there is no need to thank us. Your actions in helping this kingdom are already enough. Prince Lance replied, and even bowed his head slightly. He then raised his head and gave Adele a big smile. My dear sister, I think you should be heading back, should you not? His Majesty, our father, is waiting for your report. You. Adele's expression turned complicated. She stomped her feet before throwing her arms around me and hugging me tightly once again. I will be off. As my brother said, I do need to return to the castle to report to my father. But Faith. Adele leaned her face closer to my ear and whispered in a not-so-low voice. Watch out for my brother. He is a playboy. Do not let him sweet-talk you. My dear sister, I can hear you. Faith, do not listen to her. I am still as pure as the day I was born. I am keeping myself clean until the day I meet my true love. Pure? Clean? Huh. Let me tell you right now, Lance Gravos, if you dare do anything to my cute Faith, I will hunt you down with everything I have. Adele yelled out while shaking her fist and snorting. My Faith. Humph. We will see. Prince Lance glared at Adele as he spoke. I guess as the bystander, I should stay quiet, but I do not understand why these two are fighting over me. It's like two male leads in an O-tone game staring each other down, waiting for the other to mess up. If this was a manga, there would be projections of mighty beasts behind the two with bolts of lightning shooting out of their eyes. Kinda wish I had some popcorn to watch the show. After saying my goodbyes to Adele, who looked like she was about to cry as she left in the carriage, I stood there and looked down the long city road ahead of me. I could have gotten a ride, but I decided against it. I wanted to take a good look at the city I was going to be staying in for a while. Unfortunately, I cannot see the floating island which hovers over the lower part of the city. My only issue was the young man standing beside me with his hands behind his back with that same stupid smirk on his face. I guess old habits die hard. Prince Lance, is there something I can help you with? Me? I figured I would walk around with you a bit, if that is okay. Mr. Smirk smiled at me and caused me to want to kick him. Why would you want to follow me? Sadly, I cannot ask such questions since Adele is not here, so I have no one to protect me from getting my head chopped off. I wonder if this was his way of punishing me. He was taking revenge for my comment earlier. Nevertheless, no matter what the reason is, I can only sigh and reluctantly nod my head. If Prince so wishes, good. We should also stop to eat. I know a wonderful place. And with that, my day was suddenly decided for me. I do not know why it is, but this Bast, this prince is just as arrogant as the ones I read about in stories. I do not know what kind of favor he is expecting of me, but he seems dead set on bothering me for the time being. Then I will let Prince take the lead. This is all I could say. To be honest, I was not hungry at all. Just before arriving at the city, I had already eaten lunch with Adele. She had made some delicious food, and I kind of gorged myself. Her cooking was just too good. When she gets married in the future, she will make her husband a happy man. Sadly then, I will not be able to eat her cooking as much. But I do hope whoever Adele marries will treat her well. Because as her friend, no, as her sister, I must protect her from those evil people, even if it means crushing an entire kingdom in the process. Although I'm sure we'll never come to that, at least I hope. Faith, these stores here are not too bad, even if they are in the lower section of the city. They have many items you cannot find anywhere else. I do stop in to buy trinkets here from time to time. Everything is made by the owners as well, which makes them even more unique. While I did not wish to be walking the streets of the capital with the crown prince himself, I had to say he was quite knowledgeable about the place. I really did not expect him to know so much. In the shop he pointed at was kind of run down, so it was surprising that he even goes there. As for these so-called unique trinkets, I am not sure what kind of animal that stuffed toy is supposed to be with its fat stomach and strange head with different size eyes sewn into it with a really creepy smile. But I can say this. This prince's tastes were a bit unique indeed. I see. I did my best to keep a smile. But we drew a lot of attention, and the girls on the street were glaring daggers at me. I really wish to say I am not doing this because I am being forced to play along. Also, yay for being single forever. Don't worry, you want him, take him. This, of course, could not be said out loud, or my neck would have one less heavy thing on top of it. It's not that I did not find the prince attractive. It is just that I do not want a relationship. Just thinking about it puts me in a sour mood. But I can do nothing but force a smile and try not to lead the smirking prince on. Here we are. Filio's House of Meat. Really? This is the place you bring a girl to? Maybe I was thinking too much. There is no way any man who is taking a girl he likes out to a meal would bring them to a place like this. I mean, this was basically just a meat shop. It reminds me of the sandwich shops back on Earth. Surprisingly, or maybe not, when we walked in, we had all kinds of eyes staring at us. None of them were from anyone who would look like a noble of any kind. Only commoners. And there was no staff here besides those standing behind the counter. There was even a small line waiting to put in their orders. It was definitely a busy place. After 5 minutes, we finally made our way to the front, where a middle-aged man and his teen son were working. Your order? Give me 2 large Barondalia and cheese with the special sauce. Give us the works. As I stood there while the prince ordered his food, I ooked at the menu to see what I wanted. All the names were strange, so I did not really know what was what. But before I could even decide, Prince Lance grabbed my hand and began pulling me away. Huh? I haven't ordered yet, I said in confusion. Was he not taking me here so I can eat? I may not be all that hungry, but I can still take it to go if I do not finish it. Order? I already ordered for us. Wait, what the hell do you mean you already ordered for us? Why would you order for me? I wanted to scream, but the only thing I could do was quickly take my hand back from the prince and sit down at the table, feeling a bit disappointed. Although it should be mentioned that the food here did smell good. I would need to inspect this place more when I was on my own. But right now, I had to deal with the matter at hand. In other words, deal with a prince I did not wish to deal with. If it was not for the way he was doing things, I would not mind walking the streets with him, but currently he's acting a little too friendly for having just really met kind of like those domineering CEOs I read about? Well, this is my take on it, as I have read many novels on romance in the past. And this was usually how those arrogant male lead types worked, which was never my cup of tea. I always yelled out, "Kick him where it hurts." But now I kind of understand why they couldn't. When dealing with someone of a higher status, things were not so simple. Oh, how I wish Adele was here to save me. But then again, they might start fighting again. I kind of wondered if the women of this world like it when guys acted like this. I, for one, do not.